Islam, Islam, Islam. I am Dr. Torre New Rasul, Simpson Bay, National Sister Grand Chairman, National Sister Sunday School Instructor, Consul General, the God Allah Territory, Islam. I want to welcome you to another Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate class, sponsored by the Moorish American government. Our host instructor will be Dr. Sheddu Aminti Muhajir Sefshuel. And Georgia Counselor will be sponsoring or hosting today's platform, Islam. Dr. Gary Myers Bay, how you be, sir?
All praise be to the great God Allah, our Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, National Grand Chairman, sir. Gratitude for you being on your post. And I'm just as cautious as ever, God, man. I'm at work, but I'm still here.
Islam, that's what it's all about. Every day's manifest is another step, another progress, more progress, more. So gratitude for all that you do. Islam, long live Moorish America.
Islam, and gratitude for all that you do. And love your act one. Fun.
Islam.
Love y'all.
Dr. That's true to the Common Bay.
Islam National Sister Grand Chairman, Dr. Gary Myers Bay, Islam Moorish Kin.
Islam isn't without the schism.
Praise Allah.
Tribe endurance, peace and love, tribe endurance.
Peace and love.
Islam, guidance and gratitude and peace and love. Praise Allah, honor the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam.
Islam.
Islam, Islam, Islam. We have about 2 more minutes before we start. We'll be starting shortly. Islam.
Do you need help with anything, Dr. Simpson Bay?
Islam, Goddess and Queen. If you don't mind, can you read the chapter of the week?
Will do.
Gratitude, Grand National Secretary of State.
Islam, God, man. She beat me too much. I was kind of busy. God, man.
Okay. Well, if you want, you can read the Divine Constitution of Moorish America, or you can do or you want to do the Moorish Egyptian Adeptus prayer.
Whichever one you want me to, God, man. Whatever you ask.
All right. Well, go ahead. I want you to start off with our prayer. Moorish Egyptian Adeptus prayer, and then I'll follow up with the Constitution. And the Grand National Secretary of State will give us a chapter of the week. Islam.
Islam and gratitude. Peace and love.
Peace and love. Also, Morris Ken, I'm actually traversing back to the God Allah Georgia territory. Came up on yesterday. All praise be to Allah, honor our Holy Prophet, and I was able to press flesh with South Carolina and North Carolina Council Generals and all the lovely Moors, the Moabites that was there yesterday. Had a grand occasion there as well. High vibration of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Many inspired divine, intelligent minds, and long live Moorish America. It's definitely an honor and a blessing to be able to bring forth such a great beacon when it comes to the salvation, our God, unity for our people. And it's just a grand occasion, and Allah governs all events. Islam.
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 Islam, Islam. With Dr. Gary Myers Bay, I will bring you in about the next minute. And yes, sir. Islam, Islam, Islam. I am Dr. Torre Anu Rasul Simpson Bay, National Assistant Grand Chairman of Moorish America, giving rise and praise to our Father God Allah, and honors to our Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, honors to everything that is Moorish, our grand national flag, emblem and seal, divine constitution, and bylaws of Moorish America, and most especially our land to place the flag, the Moorish American flag in, Islam. Well, Moorish King, we're going to start off with our Moorish Egyptian Adeptus prayer brought forth by Dr. Gary Myers Bay, the Council General of the Florida Territory, Islam. Grand Man, the floor is yours.
Gratitude, God, man. All praise to God Allah. Honest to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Honest to Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Once again, I rise and I give praise to the Almighty Great God Allah, and I give honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. His high name, Sheikh El Haj Sharif Drew Ali. I give high honors to the greatest forerunner ever, Marcus Mosaic Garvey L. I give high honors to our theocratic Moorish American government. I give high honors to Act 1, our divine constitution, bylaws, our government official staff, and citizens. And I also give high honors to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, our Moorish flag, rank, emblem, grand seal. And I give high honors to you, our National Assistant Grand Chairman, Dr. Toria Noah Simpson Bay, for hosting our grand ears research class today, for giving us the platform. And I give honors to our National Assistant Grand Sheikh, Dr. Shedu Amenti Amohedjit Shepswell, which will be our teacher for today. And I give honors to everything that is Moorish, Islam, Islam, Islam. I am Divine Minister Dr. Gary Myers Bay, Apalachicola, Florida Territory. And for our opening with our recitation of our Moorish American prayer. Ya Allah Ebnu Heru Maneteru, Ya Allah Apt Heru, Ya Allah Ma'at Heru, Ya Allah Hotep Heru, Ya Allah Heru, Ya Allah Ma'at Heru Kuti, Ya Allah Awajet Dejuti, Ya Allah Per Im Protect Per Im Heru, Ya Allah Ba Majuti, El Hejit Shepsere Abtu Ali. Amen. Alias, alias, alias. And that is the same Moorish kin in transliteration. Allah, the Father of the universe. Allah, the Father of love. Allah, the Spirit of truth. Allah, the Spirit of peace. Allah, the Spirit of freedom. Allah, the Spirit of justice. Allah, you are my protector. Allah, you are my guide and my salvation by night and by day through our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Amen. Aliyasa, Aliyasa, Aliyasa. And now bring forth our National Assistant Grand Chairman, Dr. Toria Noah Simpson Bay, for our divine constitution and bylaws. Gratitude, God, man. Islam.
Islam, and gratitude, Dr. Gary Myers Bay, Council General, Florida Territory, for bringing forth our Moorish Egyptian Adeptus prayer. Islam, Islam. I'm Dr. Torre of Noor Rasul Simpson Bay, National Assistant Grand Chairman, bringing forth the divine constitution of Moorish America. Salvation, our God, unity. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. The bylaws, Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on the Friday, the first man was formed in the flesh, and on the Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended it to his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and a parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of the said government, and know that they are not Negroes, color folk, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and become a part and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, the founding father and frame of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. And now that this meeting has been opened according to Act 2 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, we say Islam, Islam, Islamism. And at this time, we will bring forth our Grand National Secretary of State, Dr. Sepsu, to comment back. Islam.
Islam, Islam, Islam. Islam Moorish Ken. First of all, I want to rise, giving all praises to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to our Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate class, to our Georgia Consulate for providing the forum, and to our National Assistant Grand Chairman, to our Consul General of Florida for opening our meeting according to law. Also to Act 1 and our host this morning, Chapter 21, opening address of Yehoshua with the 7 sages, 7 days silence. Ashbena said, Assyria is a land of doubt. The chariot of my people, that in which they mostly ride, is doubt, is labeled doubt. Subhanallah. Once Faith walked in Babylon, and she was bright and fair, but she was clothed in such white robes that men became afraid of her. And every wheel began to turn, and doubt made war on her and drove her from the land, and she came back no more. In form, man worships Allah, the One. In heart, they are not sure that Allah exists. Faith worships at the temple of one not seen, but doubt must see her God. The greatest need of all Assyria is faith, a faith that seasons everything that is with certainty. And then Apollo said, the greatest needs of Greece are true conceptions of Allah the One. Theogony in Greece is rudderless, for every thought may be a god to worship as Allah. The plane of thought is broad and full of sharp antagonists, and so the circle of the gods is filled with enmity, with wars and base intrigues. Greece needs a mastermind to stand above the gods, to raise the thoughts of men away from many gods to Allah the One. We know the light is coming over the hills. Allah speed the light. MATHENO'S said, behold, this land of Egypt of the dead. Our temples long have been the tombs of hidden things of time. Our temples, crypts, and caves are dark. In light, there is no secret things. There are no secret things. Prologue. The sun reveals all hidden truth. There are no mysteries in Allah. Behold, the rising sun, his beams are entering every door, yea, every crevice of the mystic crypts of Mizraim. We hail the light, all Egypt craves the light. And Philo said, the need of Hebrew thought and life is liberty. The Hebrew prophets, seers, and givers of the law were men of power, men of holy thought, and they bequeathed to us a system of love that was ideal, one strong enough to lead our people to the goal of perfectness. But carnal minds repudiated this law of love and filled the minds with selfishness, and purity in heart became a myth. The people were enslaved. But when he comes, who is to come, he will proclaim emancipation for the slaves. My people will be free. Behold, for Allah has made incarnate wisdom, love, and light, which he called Emmanuel. To him is given the key to open up the dawn, and here as man he walked with us. And then the council chamber door was opened, and the Logos stood among the sages of the world. Again, the sages sat in silence 7 days. Islam?
Islamism. Gratitude, Grand Secretary of State, for that grand reading coming from our Morris Holy Quran. Islam. Well, Morris Khan, at this time, we're going to go ahead and go forth to our host instructor, our national assistant, Grand Sheikh of Morris America, Dr. Shedu Amenti Muhaji Shepshuel. Islam, Grand Man. Floor is yours.
Islamism, Morris. We love you. On the rise upon the seven and give all praises to the great God Allah, our Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet. Honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything, and I do mean everything, that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. Islam, Moors, we want to welcome you to another Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate session. And I am your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Al-Mohadi Shabazz El. And my ancient high name being the same as Dr. Shedawin Minti El-Muhajir Shepsuel. And we are returning to continue our work in regards to dealing with the Hieratic script, you know, becoming familiar and also being able to try to make these things applicable, so to speak, in relation to dealing with the knowledge itself, you know, and also teach our people and move them out of that special field of conjecture that they had found themselves in under auspices of what we would call higher training, so to speak, right? And so we can't emphasize that enough. We are here to teach our people to be themselves. We are here to teach our people to be one with God and therefore be a manifestation of the great God. And it don't get no plainer than that. You know, I mean, what else is there that we need to know? But when we come into this special aspect, understanding, you know, how far it is that our people have come and they have been enslaved, run amok, led astray, and everything else, you know, everything becomes clear to us when we begin to uncover, so to speak, all of these different misnomers and things that were created in order for our people to follow, you see? So what I want to do without further ado and delay, we always end up coming into a reading from the Book of Fire. And I actually want to start at this particular time and get our Moorish kin to come forth to come forth and do some reading from the Book of Fire for us. And we're going to get the Moors who would like to volunteer.
Islam?
Yes, sir. Oh, our brother Marvin Evans Bay is already at the ready. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir. Gratitude.
Praise be to Allah.
All praises to the great God Allah.
Okay, let me make sure I got this exact page that I was trying to pull up here. And okay. So yeah, we want to start from page. I want to make sure I don't be too extensive. Okay. I want to start from page 335. And we're going to start at human knowledge versus wisdom, Brother Edwards Bay.
I'll repeat that, sir.
Page 335.
Yeah, I heard that. What was the I'm not there yet.
Yeah, human knowledge versus wisdom.
Oh, human knowledge versus wisdom. I got that part. Gratitude.
Yes, sir. And you go from 335 to page, you can actually read up to page 336, where it actually stops above man from monkey.
Okay. Gratitude.
And then, gratitude, Islam. And then we got another volunteer.
Islam,
Islamism, Grand National Secretary of State. We can get you to go from 336 from man to monkey up to the Great Fall. Actually, you can stop right there, and then we'll have one more to finish that out from the Great Fall. Islam.
Islam.
Okay, and yeah, you can start from the Great Fall, brother, and go up to the Forbidden Tree, and we'll stop right there in 338.
36 to 338. Islam, gotcha.
Islam. All right, brother Marvin Edwards Bay, you got it.
Gratitude, God, man. I try to listen more carefully these days, you know, and speak more carefully as well. Gratitude. Yes, I am Dr. Marvin Edwards Bay, Consul General of the Texas Consulate, rising, giving all praises to the great God Allah, giving highest honors to his prophet, our prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, El Hajj Sharif Abdullah. Give high honors to our theocratic government, our Moorish American government. I give high honors to our Act One. I give high honors to all of our officials. I give high honors to this class, our Egyptian Adaptist Research Sultanate class, as well as I give honors to you, Dr. Shadu Aminti Amoheji Sepswell, for hosting our Egyptian Adaptist Sultanate Research class, as well as I give honors to those that aided in bringing forth our class this morning. I believe it's Dr. Torre Simpson Bay providing the format foundation, the media, Dr. Torre Anubis, no, Dr. Kepri Anubis Rasul Simpson Bay, our National Assistant Grand Chairman. Okay, not to Terry, but I give honors to everything that's Moorish. Okay, and as I begin, human knowledge versus wisdom. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, the greatest of human knowledge is but blindness and folly. Would you raise your thoughts to infinite wisdom? The distinction between wisdom and human knowledge is as vast on the scale of comprehension as light and darkness. Wisdom is the uncomplicated consciousness that man and God are one. It is the oneness of love divine that gives life to everything. Human knowledge is the sum erudition acquired by humans about human life. It is the knowledge perceived within the concept of the life the life bubble between birth and death. From the credit side of what life is for, wisdom is all that man needs. It is the aggregate of himself and the divine. Human knowledges are images of wisdom that appear and disappear with the times of their conditions. It seems to be wisdom, but it's not. Man uses human knowledge to foolishly create demigods and demons for which he is to serve. Tragically, these demigods will customarily become what he fears the most. What man knows about human state is so cockeyed until he places other gods before himself and his creator. In reality, man is himself God, although unrealized. Hence, all of human knowledge is but pacifiers of the physical plane, sucked by the minds of men. Forever, the nourishing milk of wisdom dormantly awaits his call within him. It is mostly man's experiences during his human life that directs the course of human knowledge. Oh, the things humans can learn about his hair, his earth, his air, his seeable universe, and how to make things like his cars, his love, his shoes, his space shuttles. Humans suffer in their various ways of life. They routinely make entertainments to pacify their mind rather than guide it to knowing the self. These human accumulations are all from the dust, and to the dust they will return. Humans know how to build weapons of mass destruction, slow death foods, and create diseases pardon self, he was not born with. Still, he searches for more of the same. Repine not at thy want of knowledge, it must perish within the grave. Pinnacle of wisdom, Tibet, Morse Holy Quran, 49:19. Man, the thinker. The life of man is a summation of what he thinks. All creatures think, and in a measure, they each have a will. Man was given the power to think when he became a living thing. Thinking is the bridge used to travel the plane of things made manifest to the infinite kingdom of the soul, where he presides as God. Human knowledge is the accumulation of fruitless illusions promoted by the murky ethers of the plane of the physical. It is the pride of what the thought is think. Man is spirit created from divine thought and is himself thought activity. Everything man does was first developed from thought. He knows nothing faster or more powerful than thought, or nothing smaller than spirit. Make sure I'm on the same page. Okay. Man can think himself to the sun, examine the molten ethers to its origin, and be back in body before blinking of his eyes. He does his greatest thinking when he leaves the human flesh, the physical plane, where the human body inherited the earth, is so slow and sluggish, it virtually brings man to a stop. Here, upon planet Mud, the reflexes of lives move so very, very slow. Man can see everything outside of himself, but his self, spirit, he cannot see. The thing he sees with fleshy eyes are retarded by time, and so dilatory they can only birth, growth, and die. The American moves of physical man in his false motion realm give him an empty pride, which he wears as a crown of human knowledge. Man developed a weakness, now blended in his human nature, that sprang forth from fleshy things. A carnal nature from his human knowledge, transmitted by his senses, saw, smelled, touched, tasted, and heard. This carnal nature quickly became a foe, that man kicking him, that man kicking his human yes. Oh, pardon self. The carnal nature quickly became a foe that began kicking his human yes. The human self is, pardon self, the human self in semblance of the higher self quickly became a feigned master of his mind and consciousness. Instead of exercising his five senses, the senses began to exercise him. This is why Noble Drew Ali instructed the Moors to exercise their five senses if you are able to do so. Only then could they become guiders of the nation. See Appendix Act 5, additional laws. As we move on, the source of human knowledge. Human knowledge derives from the human senses. Adam became the very thoughts of his mind. His psychological state became a constant war zone of decisions and consequences, conflicts, and strife. Duali, and between the soul of man and the proverbial garden. Pardon self, subhanAllah. Duali and psychological state became a constant war zone of the decision. Okay, I already read that. Okay, yes. Drew Ali and other prophets revealed this battleground as the inscrutable soul of man. It should be noted, there is no difference between the soul of man and the proverbial garden. Both are in want of cultivation. From either, from either vantage point, the senses must be mastered. These intangible wars of the senses are rarely analyzed during the day-by-day events of man. The touch began to disagree with the eyes. Pardon self. The touch began to disagree with what the eyes had perceived. Taste instinctively rebelled because the smell was deceiving. Even his hearing often could not decipher the truth from falsehood. The senses, all located below the eyebrows, became the architects of a body of desires that led man into a pseudo monarchy. There is an object above the senses which is designed to inform the clay body because the flesh could not think and the bone could not reason. It is designed to inform man of all the spirits from other living things. The spirits of fire, water, earth, air, and ethereal are the sustainers of life on this plane. Upon the constitution of protoplast, life is given to the plant, beast, birds, fish, flesh of man. All these were fed from the rate of atmosphere. Today, man shamelessly brags of his human accomplishments from his earthbound human knowledges. He makes woods from trees he did not create, metals from the minerals from the breasts of his forgotten mother, even patterns computers in replica of the human mind. Human knowledge has caused man to become draped in the vanity of these so-called accomplishments. He remembers when these things were once pebbles in the shallow streams of his mind, now materialized before his brothers. Note how proud he is of these earthly gains, yet remains blind to his and their creator. This is what is meant by what gaineth a man to conquer the world with human knowledge and lose his soul. To what ends does, pardon self, to what end does the knowledge of hairstyles or fashion bring? Or what saving powers are in all statistical data known by man? Or can man reach perfection by victories over another man? These too are human knowledge, but hold no grace to the credit side of life. All human knowledge is the thoughts of Adam that he colored independent of God. Scriptures from the ancient Golden Temple of Tibet stated, the pride of emptiness is an abomination. Be not puffed up in thine own conceit, neither boast of superior understanding. The clearest of human knowledge is but blindness and folly. Moore's Holy Quran, chapter 26, ayat 4. Even the hero, the most renowned of human characters, is but a bubble of weakness found in the calamities of the human state. It makes the child of the dust, it makes the child, it makes this child of the dust ignorant and left to contemplate his frame. See how fearfully and wonderfully Adam was made. A hero is only what others make him to be for the moment. Everything about human represents a fight. To be human is to be in need of the God self, away into the lower self's business. Wow. Five more. Subhanallah, I want to read that again. Everything about human represents a fight. To be human is to be in the God self and away into the lower self's business. Man represents man preference of human knowledge over infinite wisdom is a mistake. He himself admits to err is human. The Creator alone endows man with wisdom. Man need only to humble himself to the level of his own ignorance, and wisdom doors will open. The triune God is wisdom, will, and love. Indeed, so is the true nature of man. Adam was not created into a non-thinker, but as a slower thinker. All creatures think in their own measure, are possessed of a will, but only Adam had consciousness reposed upon him above all others. Wisdom is man's consciousness that he and God are one. Truly, this is all man needs to know. All else is but human knowledge. Morse Holy Quran 38, ayat 28. Okay, man, that was quick. Gratitude, Morris, Islam.
Islam, Islam, Islam. Dr. Hatshepsut Tutankhamun Bey, National Grand Secretary of State, having already risen and given praise and honor where due. Man from monkey. There are some people who believe man is a direct descendant from apes. It appears somewhere in modern history, parentheses, his story, told about 1840 AD, Mr. and Mrs. Monkey said, let us make man. These people and those who accept their teachings have been Darwinized out of their Cro-Magnon Neanderthal loving minds. If, on the other paw, this theory was remotely examined, it would reveal the continent of Africa as the closest monkey populated cradle which could produce this or any kind of a monkey man. One should ask, did Europe have enough monkeys to make a man in the first place? Even if it did, would not these half-fed, flesh-eating cavemen have eaten their own mamas and papas? Strange as it may sound today, the higher European echelon will venture far to eat live monkey brains as a delicacy. This is obviously a wealthy attempt to ensure European inheritances of their Darwin Heritological ancient four monkeys estate. I must admit, it is quite a phenomenon that monkeys have been mating sexually active for well over 3 million years, and the only quote unquote mankind they could co-create was Europeans. Perhaps they caught some strange monkey sperm that had run amok. No man of hue, parentheses, hue man, or nation of the human family has ever claimed to be void of human parents. Every nation attached to the human family has its Adam and its Eve. Any child is damned which disclaims or dishonors its father and mother. Where did Japhet go? Or was cousin Charles Darwin too ashamed to admit his fellow pale-skinned nations of Europe were really Africans' social rejects? Any people who proclaim their genealogy originated from baboons and orangutans also acknowledges detachment from the human family. Through their own admittance, they have no father or mother, neither Adam nor Eve. It is not strange these future slave masters would be the owners of the world's first nationless people. Like their makers, the so-called Negroes, Blacks, and colored people do not have human parents. From a world spectrum of society, Europeans are the only admitted orphans or self-exiled bastards from the human family. Normally, this would not be a problem, except for the modern Darwin theory is required miseducation in most Western-based schools. Needful to say, this miseducation has spurned several generations of confused Americans who can't quite figure out if Adam and Eve were soulmates or primates, from a god to a man. Actually, the command statement, let us make man, of Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, was not given directly by the great God Allah, Yahweh, Jah, or Jehovah. The us that spoke was the thought activity of the great God known as the 7 eyes of Allah, question number 98, or creative fate, chapter 1. The Hebrew call these 7 spirits Elohim, and these are they who, in their boundless power, created everything that is or was or evermore shall be. Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 11, ayats 19 through 20. Naturally, the Greeks, unable to comprehend the unseen yet omnipresent God of Africans, interpreted the Elohim as some form of tribal cult or spookism. Greeks and Romans viewed the Israelites as pagan, polytheistic, and barbaric. It was from this lower class viewpoint which the Greeks translated the edition of the African history book called the Bible. Consequently, they gave the Africans a God in which they could see, namely themselves. Then the Roman emperors followed suit until today the profane world has both, quote unquote, in God we trust, printed about the bust of the pale-skinned gods, parentheses, presidents. Some kind of way they devised a plan centered around a pale-skinned, blue-eyed Jesus, which produced a Trinity God for the common people, the common people could see and still serve on both the state and church levels. Any person smart enough to trick an entire planet for 2,000 years has definitely got my attention. Amen. The importance of Adam and Eve to the NBC people. The father and the mother constitutes both origin and purpose of their offspring. The child they produced is born instinctively with the freedom of attainment. For one to be thyself is a birthright. This is an attribute that resides in the harmony and exactness of the parents. Fathers produce seeds, and mothers are the soil to sustain that seed to the fullness of its value. Seeds are as perfect as the source from which it came, and the child is as perfect as the mother is. No child can live its life to the fullest if it does not honor mother and father. To know is to honor. Thus, the sacred covenant commands all humans to honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be longer upon the earthland which the Lord thy God hath given thee. Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 48, ayat 9. One of the major keys to the success of mental enslavement of African minds into thinking they were created Negroes was in the removal of their paternal lineage. Mental slavery was the final nail into the coffin of U.S. colored people production. In fact, to this day, most good people would be amazed that this invisible, tasteless, and odorless philosophy was strategically based upon the historical displacement of the divine origin of the slaves from Africa. The contrived religious code was designed to dead end the Negro, black, and colored into some erroneous pale-skinned monkey beginning. Anyone without knowledge of a divine origin will not attain to his or her highest possibilities. Hence, the so-called Black people can never rise above the level of slavery. As Yehoshua said, a slave is never greater than his master. It should be noted that nowhere in the teachings of Noble Drew Ali is there support of the Europeans, parentheses, by their own admittance, ever being a part of the human family or of having a divine origin. Islam.
This is Dr. Bati Bey with the Iowa Territory. First, I'd like to rise and give all manner of praise to Allah, honors to the Prophet, honors to our theocratic government, our royal council, our flag, seal, emblem, our divine constitution, our swift angels, muftis, citizens alike, honors to all the Moors, that had a hand in bringing about this class. And also like to pay honors to the chairman and the humor in his book to make it way more interesting. Islam, the Great Fall. The path from the fall of man began exclusively in his head. He was befallen simply by what he thinks. His thought patterns went from God to human and then below the birds, beasts, and creepy things. Here in the West, the NBC are trained to believe they were born in sin. This implies that the great God made at least one mistake. The fall of man was not when his soul was placed in a garb of flesh, although this is when Isa first physically appeared. The soul, like the bodies, were tools given to man, spirit man, for him to function upon the plane of thought and the plane of things made manifest. These were gifts with built-in guidance and protection endowed by the Creator. The souls and bodies that man possesses did not cause his fall. Man failed to gratify his lower senses. And because of the terrible misuse of his power to will, when man was first formed, he was still in consciousness of himself as infinite vicegerent. He saw all things from the lawfulness of his godliness with his third eye. There were a multitude of lessons to be learned. Sicilians often depict this state of being as a race of one-eyed titans called Cyclops. Originally, the God-man in the flesh, Ish, saw all things in harmony with his higher self, the God self, the only self he knew. His soul was in place and man was himself, love and truth. This is key. Man's body is equipped with 5 senses that are used as his conveyance on earth for all that was created before him. Man was in charge and all was well. Man was himself and had not yet fallen to the level of human beings. Surah 520 and 120 to 121 of the Holy Quran explains that Ish and Isha knew of no evil or the opposite of anything. They knew only bliss, love, and living truth. They were protected, for they were pure God and goddess in their kingdom. The Hebrew was taught to call this kingdom the garden. The fall into Adam and Eve was their plunge from divinity into morality, and from knowing only the marvelous light into the carnal life of multiple deaths. This fall was suicidal because man had been warned what thoughts, fruits, not to think, eat. Adam was taught the names of all things, Surah 2:30 to 39, and was made aware of the inner nature and qualities of things. He became knowledgeable in reasoning and feelings, two things that higher angels never knew. Adam and Eve were sentenced to the finite duration of time and to suffer its intellectual consequences of human knowledge. As if this punishment was not enough, they also believe their total life is trapped between a make-believe birth and death, Surah 7:24 to 25. Most Arab anointed Muslims of today are in denial of the same Egyptian who taught Moses, the Hebrews, and all prophets prior to Islamic Arabia, the African story of Adam and Eve. Also sent the archangel Gabriel to teach Muhammad to read this human origin in Arabic. This is the true reason Adam and Eve are mentioned so often in the Quranic Arabic. On a more personal note, the divine fact also reveals that all of Arabian influenced Muslims were fully aware of the holy origin to the millions of Africans they captured and sold into the African slave trade. Perhaps it was these whom Muhammad prophesied would hide that book behind their backs. Their self appeared to them in all its nakedness and ugliness. They had to resort to the shame league, of external things to cover the fruits of ungodly thoughts.
Use the right
They
two lanes to take
power-
exit 196 onto I-74 East and US 311 South toward High Park.
Islam. Miami Bay. Islam. They lost the powers of their third eye, which was
Take the exit.
the God state. Only there could they become. Only there could they become one with their creator. Now they had become visionary slaves to their own carnal eyes. Fleshly eyes of man cannot see God. They also heard noises through their carnal ears, yet ears cannot hear the natural high frequency commands that were only audible through divine light and sound, the third eye. Little did Adam know his five senses had tongues and would bear witness against him, and shall remind him of his misuse of them. Surah 41, 20-23. Resulting from this fall, they became a zetetic kind of man, BKA, mankind, and very malodorous from what they thought and ate. Worse than what he thought it was what Adam ate that hurt him the most. He ate from the forbidden tree of human knowledge and subsequently became what he ate. He covered himself, the naked truth, with leaves of illusion and limitations of belief in life and death. In this unconscious state, Adam became more human than being a God force. It was in this state he lost the creative powers and could no longer originate or create. The extent of his human powers are limited to procreation and duplication. He could only make things according to patterns already made. Man will find himself where he can solve his problems best. Therefore, Adam fell to the darkness of his lower self and became so vain he saw no shame in being a slave to sin. His sluggish will soon became the root of all evil. From his will for naught came slander, murder, theft, and all harm. Eve was not the evil, nor its cause. Everything God made was good, perfect, and was only created once, e.g., water, air, fowl, beasts, fish, fire, etc. Allah never created evil, neither caused man to suffer. The latter is solely the work of the Elohim, Master 7, and humanity. Man-made ways of taking two or more good things and by forcing them into inharmonic conditions, he made evil and wrongness. Bad, evil, and sin are merely a mismanagement of two or more good things, ill-timed and ill-placed by man. Evil is purely man's work and should not be confused with love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. The fall of man has a thousand faces of death and unnumbered degrees from which to destroy. To name a few fallen states, we offer the five senses, human knowledge, limited edition, duality, the world of pain and suffering, the forbidden tree. There are as many interpretations about the allegory of the forbidden tree and the fruit it bears. Probably about as many as there are nations and religions of the earthland. Yet they all share the common bond. It represents a terrible disagreement between man, now human, and his creator. This earth first. No. A tree is a planted root rooted in the earth and grows strong centrifugally towards the sun. Carnal man is just the opposite, with his roots deep within his head and grows outwardly down through the senses into the flesh, diametrically opposed to his creation. In the Bible, the tree is symbolic of things man learns, and its fruits are what he does with each knowledge learned. Man was supposed to learn, eat the fruit of trees of all things of earth except one. The one tree man was not to learn from or even think of touch was placed in the center of the garden. Brain. Genesis 3:2-3. See chapter duality for forbidden tree with sexuality. Islam. And now I will turn the speaking over to Ashedu Amenti. Almost the Hadith Shabazz Islam.
Yes, sir. In Islamism family, you know, having already risen, we continue to rise in ascension, giving praises to the great God Allah and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere. And therefore, honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to everything it is that the Moors have brought on to manifest. And this is a grand draw, Moorish kin. We know our Moorish kin and most definitely did their research when it comes to dealing with the Hieratic. And what we find is that we have the resources from the Demotic. And we were talking about one of the original measures that we were dealing with, where we had the Hieratic and the Demotic beside each other. And this is just dealing with familiarity. We already dealt with the Abjad. So we see that the Abjad, you know, is correct as it was, yet we see that there is an admixture based upon the style of writing, maybe the time period of writing, and also something to be considered, that there are those who actually try to call cursive hieroglyphs Hieratic. And so having this special knowledge, you know, being that the cursive hieroglyphs are nothing more than basically pictorial glyphs, but just in, like I would like to say, like a stick man form or a more primitive form. Some people who confuse these things, they end up taking letters from this primitive form and they begin to try to compare these things to the actual alphabet that we have in abjad order. And this is why you end up coming up with different types of A's, you know, B's, and, you know, everything else based upon that special measure. And so we want to kind of go through with a fine-tooth comb a few alphabetical charts before we move on to do anything else in regards to dealing with trying to deal with transliteration or anything like that. We want to emphasize this, you know, because nothing is more important than our people getting a grand understanding, you know, of what it is that we are trying to give them, so that they will have a clear conception, you know, of this great work that we are here to demonstrate, but teaching our people their mother tongue, you know. And to be honest with you, Moorish kin, you know, it was a grand drawing just to bring forth that history in relation to what it is that we are building upon. And the reason why, because it reveals the superstitious concepts, the Darwinism and everything else that our people have been affected by, you know, when it comes to dealing with the European. Also, you would also find some people confuse Hieratic and Demotic, you know, which one should never do, because we know these are two different measures, you know, when you're dealing with Hieratic and Demotic. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna open up this screen again so I can really make an emphasis on, let me see, an emphasis on this drawing here again. You know, we want to make this plain and clear. We know our Moorish kin already know it. These are cursive hieroglyphs. If you notice, they look very similar to the pictorial glyphs. Now pay attention to this particular symbol here, right? Keep that in mind. Now this symbol is right beside what they call it a reed, you know, plant. So this they would call a viper, and then they place this here in the primitive form, a stick man form. This would be The more modern form, this would be the stick form, you know, of what, you know, would be depicted as a hawk. Some people just say bird. Then you got these 3 measures here and these 3 slashes here, you know, and it's the same thing. They continue to go on, you know, all the way down, you know, in comparison, and you can find these things here. So really you can see these, you know, as they are as pictoglyphs, you know, hieroglyphics, as they like to call them. You know, they call them sacred writings and all this type of measure here. And we always say these things are meant to be understood more metaphysically. And you can see the difference. This is what we're trying to get our people to see. If one's eye is not trained, you know, they will confuse the two. The cursive hieroglyphs, I mean, you can obviously see the difference between the two. You see, there's a difference between the two. And what happens is in the Ptolemaic period, they, as we found through the Rosetta Stone, we know they created their own way of language and also their own way of deciphering the language that they created. So everything that the people think they have been demonstrating on from the Ptolemaic period on down is a Eurocentric interpretation. Everything prior to that, when you go back to the Old Kingdom and you see it the way our ancestors demonstrated it, it was demonstrated according to metaphysics. You know, how do we know this? Because we actually have the records, you know, from that time that actually prove so. And we actually went over those records, you know, when we go into the Clement, Pope Clement of Alexandria and Diodorus Siculus, you know, we find that these people, and it's a couple of more works out here, which we showed the family in the past while we was laying a foundation for this, about these measures. And so it was later during the Ptolemaic period, when they came up with these things, you know, they were the ones who tried to make this into an alphabet, you know, in the sense that it becomes a language of writing. But our ancestors didn't demonstrate it that way. We already know that. So again, these are 2 different scripts. We see where the Ptolemaic inscriptions, they would try to adopt certain measures and put things beside, we'll say even take a letter from the ancient text and try to mix it in with these symbols right here, you know, and then basically call that, you know, alphabet again. So what happens is that you confuse the people that don't know no better. So know the difference between cursive hieroglyphs and hieratic. This is very key. You're gonna have to put some people in check, you know, when it comes to this measure. We even show the same thing here, you know, in proofs of our claim. For those who think it's outrageous for us to say, we got to keep coming back here to show you what we are talking about. You know, this is one of the most popular papyries, you know, the papyri of Userti. Star 6 your phone, family. Okay, so again, note what that they call literary texts. These so-called literary texts, we got to reiterate and use the hammer of repetition. You know, these so-called literary texts was the Europeans' way of trying to systematically, you know, put these things in order. And these papyri here, you know, are ancient papyri here. You can see the antiquity on them, you know, just by looking at them. And there are more where these come from. That's just one to give an example. But when you look over here, what you see is the more modern form of the primitive form of the hieroglyphic, as they like to call it. You know, you see it over here, same thing. That's the primitive form. Primitive form in the writing. And we already know how they look, you know, when you come to the pictorial aspects of it. So we don't have to go into that again. So always be able to make that distinction. But we have those who begin to mix these symbols, you know, with trying to make it be this language. You see, so what we will have to do in the future is just vet the sources, you know, and know the difference by becoming familiar with the actual symbols. Because in the actual hieratic, for example, you know, if we were to point out some things in here, just looking at this particular drawing here, you know, dealing with the actual alphabet, okay, you know, I can see the letter D right here. You know, that looked like a D, different forms of it based on who wrote it. You know, I can see the letter I or Y right here. You know, I can see this as a letter A, because there are different A's. We're gonna find that out, right? I can also see, I want to say that's a S right there. That little straggly line coming straight down, but I have to go back. But then that's also a letter A right there. Look like that too, with the curve coming off of it. I mean, so this is automatically, I can just identify these things because of what we already, you know, went over. So these symbols are literally jumping out at me right now. You know, that's the letter M right there. You know what I mean? This letter here, actually, the little straight piece right here that's hanging over, look like it's connected to another letter. That's also that same alphabet I was showing earlier when I was speaking of the S. But some of these things do carry over from Demotic, but what it is that these, it's just like the letter M, how we show that it pretty much come all the way from KEMET and come up into this time. We can say the same thing with the letter L as well. You know, let's see, can we find a letter L up in here? We got them, well, actually, I meant the letter B. It looks like a L. There it is right there, that B, that letter B right there. You know, so then that would be the L right here, actually, right there. So this is just coming off of the head, you know, and I would just go right now just to see how well our family have preserved a little bit of the insight that they know on some of these letters, and let us see what it is our family can identify. I'm gonna point out some letters, and family, tell me what letter that is according to what you can see. If you know you are able, all is well. You can use your chart too, it won't hurt. It ain't gonna do nothing but impress it in your memory. So what is this alphabet here, Morris King, according to your chart? What is that? Your hieratic chart.
Islam, is that an M?
You say a M?
Yes.
It's a fence right there, right? Now we know the M is here.
P.
Islam G.
Okay.
Yeah, so you say that's a G, right? You say this is G?
Islam.
The little fence, right?
Islam.
Okay, so now what we gonna do, let's just go across the
I
board.
say a P. I say it's a P.
Well, we gonna check through the chart. The brother said G, you said P. Now, they close to each other. Now, Marvin Edward Bay would actually be correct. And you know the difference, and that's a good eye though, brother Gary Miles Bay. That's a good eye, because it does look just like this. What's the difference between these two right here? The P and the G that you can see.
Islam, one of them got all three straight lines on the P, and the G has a curve on the front line.
There you go. I just wanted to make sure you was able to identify that. See, we impressed that in our memory just by doing that, right?
Islam,
It's
pardon
long,
itself.
man.
Could you point out those two letters again? I had to run and go get my charts. Gratitude.
Gratitude. Yeah, I got every chart up here too. So we're gonna check them through the other chart. But yeah, this P here, and this is the letter G, you know, because our brother Gary Miles Bay was thinking that the symbol, let me go back here. And you can see me changing my screen, right, Moore?
I can't see your no, I can't see your cursor. I mean, we're still looking at the,
No, I'm saying you can
Please,
see
I
my
can't see the
screen.
cursor.
Yeah, you
No,
can see. I'm trying to figure out, can you see my screen though? Like what's on it right now?
hieratic.
Yeah, hieratic, but what does it look like? Just give me a description. I want to make sure you see exactly what I'm sharing.
Okay, well, you know, it's one of the screens that you have with the hieratic, and you had the cursive next to it.
I
So
tell
we're
you
seeing, okay, you
It's
change it now.
what. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna share the whole screen. There we go.
Okay,
Now you see this here, right?
yes.
Okay. Now, since I'm on the whole screen sharing, I'm gonna go back to the PDF and let me know that it shifts back to this other PDF. Did it change?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So our brother Myers Bay, you know, said that this was the letter G. Let me blow this up too a little bit more. He said this was the letter G, and he wasn't far off. You know, our brother Marvin Edwards Bay came forth and said it's the letter P. So when we go back to the other chart, we find that Marvin Edwards Bay was correct. Even though this has a different style slightly than the other writing, you can tell why Brother Myers Bay seen this as the G, but you can also see the difference between the two. And like he said, this has the curve on the front of that particular line, those three lines. This one doesn't have the curve. So the P is straight up Islam.
Question, master teacher.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I said, okay, we see this as a representation of P, but is that what it's called? A P? Is that how it's pronounced?
I mean, actually, you know, you will pronounce it.
think it's
Remember, we using the rule of sound shifting. It actually would be like,
an R.
you can push it out with the F and the P together.
Roll.
You know, even though it has an F right here beside it, this P is often pronounced as te, te, or sometimes it's interchangeable with the B.
Right.
And that's probably why the person probably put these together beside each other. You know what I mean? Putting them together on these particular sounds here, pe, be, and fe, because even P and B is interchangeable to a certain degree. You know, sometimes you'll see the F with V there, ve, taking it into the B realm. But yet these are individually their own particular letters. I'm just showing you in the sound shifting, they can have a relation to each other, but in this case, this is pe, fe, fe, fe. You see what I'm saying? Islam?
Pe.
Yeah, that's right. You know, so it's really the time that you're looking at. And so when you come here, in this particular area, you see again the letter G. Now, I always tell you, don't pay attention to all of these as special symbols, because this is where the confusion come into play at. You know, and what they do, like I say, if anything, you can use these as markers. You know, now when it comes time to dealing with transliteration, being that these markers, not alphabets, that's what you call them from now on, markers. Make that emphasis. You know, these markers, you know, the way that they have did this, you know, you end up having to use the marker to transliterate the actual papyri, because they hid this alphabet under the markers. You see what I'm saying? So we'll get into that in due time. And that's why when you go into a book, like when you see me drawing from, you know, the different dictionaries, I'll come forth with the word, but I ain't dealing with the markers. You see what I'm saying? I'm not dealing with the markers. I'm dealing with the transliteration, because we know, as we showed you a few minutes ago in the Usertan papyri, that the Usertan papyri was hieratic before it became systematically put, you know, in this form that the European created. So you had the Ptolemaic period doing what they did, and then you had Champollion coming behind that, you know, basically creating his own methodology, and then Budge and everybody else followed suit with that. You see what I'm saying? But that was not the way of our ancestors. So the key is, like I said, this is what was always utilized. And then remember, it was the natives that really did the translate. So the European came behind it with the symbols, you know, and tried to use that, as they call it, transcribing in the hieroglyphs, and that's what they came up with. But nevertheless, this is the alphabet P, and this is the alphabet G. Keep that in mind, you know, at all times. Now, what I want to do is go through a few more other charts, because we were talking about the differences between a lot of these particular charts, right? You can see in this particular chart here, the real abjad chart, we see the letter P here. Only difference is the style of the writing. Look more curvy than, you know, the straight. You see it? But that's the same letter P, right? You see my cursor?
Yes, I see it.
Yes.
Okay, so we just trying to pinpoint these things. I want to show you in each one of these different charts, you know, and we will explain what the changes come in at when we find them. See, this is the letter P here in this chart, right? See the different style in the writing? Somebody just put the two side posts up higher and the one in the middle slightly lower. You see that?
Islam.
Yes, sir. Islam.
Okay, and let's go to this other chart. Here's another P right here. Huh?
Can I say something right quick?
Go ahead, brother.
You know, like the more I look at this here, I mean, like this hieratic, these hieratics that we're looking at, they're more distinguishable. I mean, like, ain't too many of them look like the other. I mean, you can make a distinction. I mean, just like that N and that, what is that, an E or A? Up under the S. You look at the chart now?
Yeah, this
Yeah,
here.
yeah. If you go up to
Yeah,
the
this
end,
is go ahead.
up top to the end, go up a couple more. Now up. Okay,
Oh,
right there.
oh,
That's like
oh.
that's like that just about, but just got one got a line through the middle. To me.
Well, yeah, well, what it is, remember, this is the pictorial though, and this is what they tried to compare to this.
Well,
See, that's what
I'm not talking about the
huh?
I wasn't referring to the pictorial.
Okay, I thought you said
just
they look alike to you. Go ahead.
No.
Bro.
I'm saying this hieratic end looks like well, what is that? Two down for what is that? Looks like a comma, not a comma. They're like what they're like a quote, like a single quotation mark.
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Okay.
But what huh?
Okay, gratitude.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay, you know, on the course, and
Yes, sir.
because we're going through all the alphabets. You know, I just want to show you, you know, the difference in the writing, you know, and impress these things upon the memory. We'll get to that in a minute, but we'll find that these actual alphabets carry over from the Demotic as well. I'll tell you that for right now. But right here, again, this again is the letter P. You see? And look at the style. You see the difference, and the only difference in this one is they hoop this at the bottom, right? And then this one comes off a little bit more from the edge than the others. So we can look for these slight variations when it comes to reading the different texts. Islam?
Dr. Shaheed.
Go ahead, Sister Curta Bay.
Yes, when you had your cursor over there on that P, could you go back to that right quick?
Yes, ma'am, no problem.
Yeah, okay, and do you see that little square right there?
Yeah, that's pictorial.
Yeah, that's the pictorial. But what I noticed, and I was going to ask you, but you answered it because I was ready for my little question, and then you answered it because in some of the things when I was comparing them, they had that little square thing over there as an alphabet, and I'm saying that ain't right. That ain't no alphabet. That looked more like I was calling it the hieroglyphic. I said, but that ain't the alphabet. That I think it was the S. It was two things that you had sent out, and I was just looking at them because I'm trying to put my stuff together. And I say, but that's not right. That's not the actual alphabet. So what you're saying is, and they tried to make it as I think it was the S. I believe it's the S. They did it like that, and they tried to make like that was the S, but it really wasn't. Just like this square, like you said, that's the pictorial part of it. But they be trying to say it's an alphabet, and I didn't think that was right, but Islam, that's what I wanted to ask about, because I saw like 2 or 3 of them, and when I was doing my comparison, that was like that. But then 1 or 2, they did have the actual alphabet above it, but they would have them little, like you say, the pictorial part up under there too. Islam?
Well, that's why I started with what I started with, you know, showing the difference between the hieratic and the cursive hieroglyphs and the pictorial script that they like to call hieroglyphics, you know, so that and I call them markers, because that's all they are. Like I say, they use these symbols to bury, like I say, these alphabets here, these symbols they use to cover up these. Because if you go to looking for these things here, you try to translate this in the original hieratic papyri, this ain't gonna do you no good. Because a lot of these symbols don't look nothing like the hieratic. You see what I'm saying? That don't look nothing like the hieratic. That don't look like, you see what I'm saying? So you lost when it come to trying to transliterate, you know, the original papyri by these things. That's why I said, if you're looking for symbols, you know, you already caught up in a whirlwind. So, and you gotta remember, it was like hundreds of these symbols, like 700 of them, they say, right? So they chose from the 700, these particular ones here, you know, around about 22. And then they wanted to compare them to the actual hieratic letters. This one looked like that one looked like that one. This one, you know, they went to doing that type of stuff, and they were going off of, you got to remember, they got Ptolemaicism in there, and Ptolemy them was the ones that, you know, after the Champollion demonstration, you know, they was putting their names all in glyphs. Even the brother Mustafa Gadala tell you Ptolemy name ain't nowhere in no hieroglyphs. And we seen it. Remember we went in over the Demotic class, and that word wasn't nowhere near Ptolemy. You see what I'm saying? So we exposed the hoax then. So basically, like I said, identifying the styles of these P's is key in different charts across the spectrum. That way we know it's still P. No matter what the way it looked, just looking at the different style, we want to become familiar with it. You know, but and we're gonna touch on the G as well. See the G right there? Since it was brought up by brother Myers Bay. Right. You see it got that same hoop in it coming off there. You see? Yeah. Now up here, you actually see a different style of the letter G. You see? And that's something you make noteworthy of. Oh, yeah. You see? Now, that's where y'all grouped them up already. You know, so all is well to the Moors that did that. You know, here, you would also see the G here. Right. You see? So we can look at those two alphabet, this as G, and we look at this as a G. See? Yeah. And as we go through this, we're gonna actually get to the bottom of exactly what's going on here. You see the letter G here in this form again. And I'm gonna show you exactly what happened right here side by side. And I just pointed out, remember I said how the P, the F, and the B pretty much are in the same family, even though they're different symbols up here. What did we say is interchangeable with the letter G in dealing with sound shifting? We're gonna see where our Moorish kin at. It's right there in front of us, but Islam.
Myers Bay, Apalachicola, Florida territory. Praise be to Allah, honor to our holy prophet, noble Drew Ali, Islam, grand man. That'd be J.
No, sir. Well, in one aspect, that's dealing with Arabic, but I'm talking about dealing with the Kemetic language.
Islam, would it be the K?
You know, Islam?
Would it be Islam? Would it be the K right beside
it? Correct, Grand National Secretary.
I concur.
That's right. And see that now, and I know y'all probably picked up on that instantly when she said it. So the sound shift goes between the K and the G. You see? And then also the Q. So
Yeah.
whoever put this chart together, I see they tried to put the letters that were more relative to each other. We can even see the T and the T here, the D and the D there. And that's why they didn't put it in the abjad order. You see the H and the H there. They were grouping those things that were more relative. See the S and the Z and the S and the H and the H and the H. You know, so we can see the way they were grouping these things. See all the H's come here and then they start here and they go there. So that's what we can find out by looking at this particular chart. They were grouping these things according to the sound shift, just like with the A. That's why you see the A here, you see? And then you got the A here, then you have the A here, you see? They're not in abjad order, but this is a sound. We can call this a more sound shifting order, so to speak, sound shift order. You know, so when you see these three letters here, you know that they represent different forms of the A, pardon self, and this is the I being interchangeable with that too. Because, you know, this is a lot of time when you deal, and actually these are the vowels, to be honest with you, Morris King. These are also what become vowels. Even though they're consonants, this is where they draw vowels from. Mustafa Gadala go into talking about that. So this is where they would get the the U from. In the English, they would call it O. You see? Y'all seen that a couple of times where you see a Kemetic word that normally has a W on the end and they might put a O there or a U there. You know, that's basically what that sound shifting based upon, you know, the adding of the vowels. This is A, this is I, which is also interchangeable with Y in certain cases. Keep that in mind. And this is A here. So that's what this is. This is, we can call this sound shift order here. And I'm just saying that there so that we can identify why it's not in abjad order. But correct, we pointed out that this is indeed why this is seen as a G, because the person identified it as the K, but in all actuality, you know, at a certain level, based on the way you speak, the sound of it, it has to do with the K. And I'm gonna show you exactly what I'm talking about right now. I'm gonna go to this chart that I actually have up here, and that we already have as well. Let me make sure, is that it right there? I want to close out my thing. Okay, not that one. Get to that one in a second. Okay, here we go, right here. Let's go back to our original chart here that we had. Now, this is your hieratic here. This is the demotic chart we had with both of the alphabets in there, the comparison. Let us go down a little bit. You can see the sound shift being demonstrated here as well. Okay, so you see the letter K here? Now look at this here. They put them together. You see that, Morris? But then you see it here. So you see the interchangeable measure, and they tell you actually right here. This is why they were talking about much confusion here, because somebody else see a K while somebody else see a G. So we can look at these things, and I would say if we were transliterating something, if you chose to put the K there, put the K there, you chose to put the G there, you know, it's based upon the way everything else is transliterated, the way it began, those letters that you put there, whatever the sequence is, it'll give you the right feel of what it is that you need to place there in that particular spot, you see? So we can see across the board in all these different charts, you know, there's a relation here. So there's one measure that we have brought clarity to, so to speak. I want to go through some more of these other charts right here too that I have, just to do a little more fact checking on these particular letters. This is another chart that we have here. And there you go again. So we see one is K, one is G. They actually have them here beside each other. We see they tried to do some sound shifting in the order here as well. They put them together. So that's what it is. When you see it out of the abjad order, think of the sound shifting order. See how they put the T, the T, the D, the D, all those letters that are closely related to each other. That's actually helpful too, to a certain degree. See, they got all the different H's on there as they go along.
Islam?
Islam.
Oh yeah, God, man, is it possible that you can make that particular chart? I mean, yeah, I know I probably have it, but right now I'm trying to group them all together. Is there any way you can make that singular on the, you know what I mean, on the screen?
Oh,
Nah, I
this
want-
chart right here?
Yes, sir. If
What
not,
you
it's
mean?
not, no, if you can just make it singular, you know, because I'm doing some print screen on here, and I'm just kind of group. I'm just,
Oh,
I can do it
well,
there.
I'm gonna send this to you,
Yes, sir.
this PDF, you know, unless you talking about just while we in the class, you trying
Yeah.
to do it that way. I mean,
Actually, that's what I was trying to do.
yeah,
that-
I can put it that small right there, you know. Let me do this here, and then you can take a picture of it that way.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, and then you
I
can,
was speaking about particularly that one, but then that's even better.
yeah, all is well.
That's
Yes,
even better.
sir.
Gratitude, God, man.
Yeah, gratitude, no problem. And so okay, so right here, family, we have also the letter G. We see it's still the same. We see also the letter K here. It's what it is. It's the same. Don't pay attention to these markers. Don't get lost by the markers. You see? And so we'll address all that stuff right there once we get, you know, outside of this particular realm of what we're dealing with now. And also we have another chart here. And we can actually see too, they were doing the same thing. This is sound shifting order as well. Notice that they have all the letter A's up here. You see A, E, I, O. You know, they actually look like they group, you know, the vowel here. Now notice in this particular chart, they have actually a straight line, you know, and they calling this the modish right here, right? But then they had a straight line for hieratic here as well. Uh-oh, let me get up here. You know, which is the letter A. And this letter A actually went all the way into the Arabic language right here. This is actually the letter A that Arabic uses.
Right.
Right?
Yes,
You
sir.
know, and so anyway, when we come down here and we deal with the letters G and K, this is actually our last chart right here. Uh-oh, trying to straighten it out. Trying to get it the way y'all can actually see it a little bit better. In this particular chart, and this is an older chart, you can see they had P here, and they look like they got two different P's right there in this particular chart here. You know, and it's kind of, you can't really see it that good, you know, but they have a little different style of writing this. And this is also more from the German Egyptologists too. That's another thing too. All of them didn't agree on the same exact order, because some of them later changed what was put there. So in this particular chart here, we see the letter P, you know, in this particular form. And they didn't even really go into the G up here. Thought they did. They got the letter K down here, but they ain't got that many of them like they had in the other area. So this is for information. This is actually like I say, a German chart, you know, and which really, it ain't a big issue, but it's really just looking at the different styles. We can actually go through here and see how many signs they did change. But what we can see is the relation here, you know, between certain letters in the Demotic. We can compare them to that original chart that I showed you, And we can probably try to figure out certain things, like we can see the letter M is still him as it is. We see they even dealt with the letter, remember I was talking about the vowel, that's that changing, that sound shifting, which was the letter B in the other chart. So let me see here. Trying to look at these things. We see that's the letter A right there. The one that they have is 3 of them. Okay, we see this right here is being seen as the letter T, but we know this is also the letter D in our particular chart.
Sure.
So based on the language that is coming through, I see what's going on. Certain languages don't have certain alphabets that we have. And that's why it's not having the G there, it just has the K there, per se. You see what I'm saying? And let me see here. You see a whole bunch of the T's, which will become D's in the other language. So yeah, that's what's going on with the sound shifting measures here, More.
Islam?
That's it. Go ahead, brother Islam.
Yes, sir. I'm glad you're bringing that to the forefront, because for me, that's what kind of like called me to dwell, you know what I mean, in different aspects, because I'm saying like it's becoming completely, confusing, you know what I mean, because of that sound shift. But then again, now you bring it to where I can grasp it better, you know what I mean, and then it just depends on how much I put into it to actually bring it to my complete understanding.
Yes, sir. And nothing wrong with doing some vetting and going into this German chart, like I said, and comparing it to different letters, because it can show you certain style. But keep in mind the knowledge of the sound shifting. You know, longer you keep that on cap, you know, on the dome, you should be able to navigate. But most of your what we are going to be dealing with in the, we'll say the form that we see, that what a consensus is, I put it that way. The consensus of all these charts pretty much agree on the way that we showed you the letter G look and the letter P look, you know, which is that fence. You know, one having a curvature on one end and one being straight up all the way across the board. You know, so keep that in mind. Most of your stuff will be in that. See here, and this is actually from the SESH website. See here, they even have like a curvature style of it here, the letter G again. You know, that's a confirmation. Let's go to the letter K that we were talking about. It's right there beside it. You know, sound shift order. Here we go right here. And they got different styles of even the way they writing that. You see, in the European gonna throw this up there and tell you that this is that. Them people crazy. You can also see that even in the Demotic, you know, there's a relation between the Hieratic K and the Demotic K. You see? So that's something to keep in mind as well.
Islam?
Islam, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I don't mean to be interrupting you, but
Oh no, you're all right.
yeah, you know what? When I look at these different letters, and you know, like say going from Demotic and Hieratic, and not in this particular instance, but like, you know, you could take one letter and just take part of, you know, like it's got like say 3 different connections on it, you know, and just from looking at what it should be and move it around, you know what I mean? That's the way I do. And you can see how it connects, you know what I mean? And or that goes over the different generations or what have you, and between the different tribes or whatever you want to put it, like, you know, how they just switched it around. Like, and you mentioned how they just changed up, you know, made it upside down or laid it down or just took one of the legs of it and just curved it around or something like that. I mean, and I was just messing around with it and, you know, just show how all of that actually took place.
Right. And that's grand. And it really has a lot more to do with than anything. It has a lot more to do with family. even different styles, like we said before, of writing. You see? So yeah, that's a powerful measure. Now I want to go back to our original chart here, and we want to move to another letter. We'll point one out, and our Moorish kin give us a drawing on this particular demonstration. All right. What do you see, Moors? Let's see. This alphabet right here. What letter is that?
Is that a hieroglyph?
No, sir. This is all hieratic, my brother. No hieroglyphs over
hieratic?
here. Yeah, this is all hieratic.
Okay, because I was. Go ahead.
Islam.
H,
Huh?
H, Islam.
The letter H. That's right. And that should have jumped out at most of us already. Go ahead. Brother Marvin Ellis Bay, you were
Oh,
say
no, sir.
something?
I just didn't mute it out.
Okay, Islam. So this is the letter H. Now let us vet this particular alphabet. You know, and see, like I said, all of this is going to impress these things upon the consciousness. That's why we're doing this. It's showing you that this is not that hard to pick up. Our brother said it was H. H it is, but look at the different style of the H compared to that other H that we were looking at. You see it has a different style. Islam, Brother Marvin, that was
Oh, okay. Now you see that H that you're just pointing at now. That was what was shown in the other chart that you just was before this.
Yes, sir.
I thought that but this G looks like a sideways G. That's what I was looking at. That's what I thought you
No,
were pointing
this
at.
brother is not the H here. This is what I'm talking about up here. Like I said, don't get caught up on the markers.
Right, that's
Don't
what
even
I'm
pay
saying.
attention to them. Yeah.
Okay, that's where I was distracted. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Don't worry about this here. You know, we talking about hieratic. We ain't talking about no pictures.
Okay, can you go back to that chart?
Okay, yes, sir. Okay, so let me get back over here and open it up. There we go, right there. You see it?
That's what I'm saying. But see, that one is the same as the to me. That seems like
style. That's the style of the writing. This is just a different style of the writing. That's not a hieroglyphic. That's hieratic. Remember, hieratic came before the glyphs.
Right.
And some of the so-called glyphs they tried to compare. And that's what they were doing. What you're doing right now, what the European did. They tried to take that symbol and say, well, that's this, and this is that, and that's that, based on these shapes. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And that ain't what we drawing off of, you know, from that special measure they would demonstrate. But I'm finna go through the other scripts that we had, the other alphabet, so that you can be able to see. Again, they had the same thing up here in this particular measure here. But you see the difference in the right? You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
This is hieratic.
Right.
Just like this is hieratic.
Right.
You see? And you can actually see that they look a little different. So we want to make that noteworthy. One looked like a W with a line coming off the edge of it, so to speak, coming over. That's how I would describe it anyway. And then the other one actually looks like an M. Like they flipped it upside down or whatever the case may be, but it's still the same letter, just a different form of it. You got me? So we know anytime we see a letter that look like this in the hieratic, it's the letter H. Now let me go through the other charts. Looking for the same letter. We see it here. Same style of writing. See the H? And yeah, of course, they're going to have that over there, but don't pay no attention to that. You know, that's their comparison. That's the European comparison of these things. So let me go over here. Where it is. I actually had another chart right here. Well, actually, I think it was another. Yeah, it was two more over here in this chart. These one of the charts here. Okay, so in this particular measure here, you will notice that they again are comparing these measures here, but these are obviously two different symbols. You know, this is the pictorial way of them writing this demonstration in as a hieroglyph. And this is a whole nother measure here. This is the letter H that we're looking at, which is still consistently the same, basically, as we seen it, just a different style of writing. That's all it is. Not a different letter, just a different style of writing. Okay, there it is there. They actually closed it all the way up on this particular chart. Y'all see that, Morris? That letter H.
Islam.
Islam, yes, sir. You probably identified that one, Brother Miles Bay. Same thing here. All we doing is we identified the styles of the writing. See that there? H and H. There you go. All right. So let's see. Let's go into this little chart here and see what they did with this German chart with the letter H. They actually have a different alphabet there. See it here? They use this symbol as a H here. What this symbol was. Different alphabet. So like I say, they disagreed on certain measures. And that's why I say when the European came forth with what they came forth with, you know, a lot of that stuff can't be definitive. Look at this. This is actually a Demotic alphabet that they had for the letter H over there. See, but this is the Hieratic here. You see? This is the little picture they trying to draw here next to it. That's the letter dealing with the Hieratic. They even got a dot there. I wonder why they put, they put that's supposed to be a comma in between.
Islam.
Grand National Secretary of the State.
Now, that's the question for me. On this H.
That's right.
Because I wrote down both of these things because it was in the middle column of hieratic. But are we looking at that first symbol is actually what Rome did, and that second one is the actual letter?
That's right. That's right. This is the actual letters right here. But when you go into it, this person here, whoever this is that compiled this chart, right? They were trying to isolate these letters as well, basically, obviously. But what it is that this particular letter here is the one you want to really bank on. You see?
Yeah, because I was about to say that first H hieratic thing looks exactly like that. That hieroglyph, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's cursive hieroglyphs right there.
Okay.
And they compared it. Remember, I told you some people call cursive hieroglyphs hieratic, which they shouldn't do that.
Okay.
Because hieratic is hieratic. Cursive hieroglyphs is cursive hieroglyphs. So this is nothing more than a cursive form of this symbol over here. But they using it, calling it the letter H, but this is the symbol that is more consistent through the consensus of all of those charts we have, you see?
And I'm glad you brought that point out, because when I was doing my hieratic, I included that first symbol because I thought that, okay, this was the style of the writer and not actually the hieroglyph. You know what I mean? Right. So I have to remove that because it's not a true hieratic letter.
Right.
Okay.
And you know, maybe you can even put a question mark beside it, you see, because there may be a form, you know, in that there. We won't rule that out, but we know that this one for sure is the actual H.
Okay.
See?
It's long.
Yeah, so if you see that surface in the hieratic, that's a whole nother measure. We got a lot of digging to do. Go ahead, Sister Curta Bay.
Yeah, and I got to go back and change it because I thought that, but you say, but I put that little old dot. I thought that was an H. I didn't know what they were trying to say there. So I thought that little dot was an H, but you saying that's a comma.
Yeah, those are commas in between there. Look, you see it, the two alphabet, the two styles of writing. That's all it is.
I thought that was the alphabet. I didn't know.
No, you're all right. you know, and then did the same thing over here with the letter A and a couple of more. That's all it is, different ways of showing the letter the way that people wrote it. And see, this is very important because some people, based on the way that they had been guessing that thing, this is how we was able to come up with the proper order here with the Demotic before we got the Abjad order. Me and the brother Marvin Edwards Bay went letter by letter, just like we doing now. You know, and we went through it and basically went all the way down the chart. And it came out exactly like it was supposed to come out. You know what I mean? But we didn't have everything. And we was actually doing it off the Coptic, this Coptic chart right here. We were using the Coptic. We couldn't even use the English, but we nevertheless did in the right order. And so basically that's the same thing we doing here. We actually using the consensus of the charts that we have to show you exactly which letter is which. Islam. And when I say consensus, that's the collective opinion more of those who actually came forth, you know, with them different charts. Islam?
Islam, quick question.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, brother.
Okay, that consensus, that's a consensus of those scholars or those historians or those archaeologists or whoever, not whatever. I got to remove that out of my vocabulary.
Yeah, these are different scholars who came forth, but you got to remember it wasn't them that did the translate.
Right. Okay, I got you.
It was actually the Coptics, the Coptics who actually did the transliteration.
Right.
While the Buds them just came and took credit for it. So this didn't
Right.
come from the Romans. This came from the actual native people. Some of them got killed after they transliterated this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So
I think they was trying to let us know something too, you know, within the transliteration. You know what I mean? The translation.
Yeah, we gonna find a lot of that when we go to really going through them.
Right.
You know, and really going through the papyri, you know, and checking them out. Oh yeah, it's gonna be a lot that we're gonna discover. Islam. So yeah, we can also go to another letter in here. Let's try this particular letter here. And we can actually see that they are together. So this would be coupled with this. You see it, family? What is that alphabet there, that horizontal line?
Is that an N?
Say that again.
Say, is that an N?
Yeah, it looked exactly like the
Oh, yeah,
N.
the only difference is got those like two little niches in the middle of it. Which,
yeah, it looked like an N, right?
Yes, sir.
It got two little
How about the
knots.
Z?
That's what I was just finna say, but it also has a Z and an S
The
look to it
Z.
too. Yep, a Z and an S look. And that's another one of them symbols that look similar. Let me go over here and show you what we're talking about. So we got
I'm going by that.
Islam.
Okay, yeah, now that's like,
Instead, we got to point it out. See?
okay,
Yeah,
that can look like it, but
There
it's
it
more
is
pronounced
right there.
in the
And
end.
then there it is
Yeah.
right there. You see?
Yes, sir.
Now, you don't really see, you know, the little dot in between there, but watch this. Let's go to these other charts now. And this is how we can determine which one is which.
Gonna bring them up
That's
some?
the Z. Go ahead.
No, I thought you was gonna bring them up a little bit.
Oh, you want me to blow it up?
I thought you were gonna zoom it in a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I'll blow it up. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect. Oh,
Okay.
okay, that's
So
the
again,
end right there.
So the Grand National Secretary of the State was actually correct. It's the Z
Z, yeah, I see it.
because it got the two dots in it.
Right, that's what I
So
was.
they look, but see, this is what a S, they say S here, but that's still a Z. Don't get it twisted. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's showing you sound shifting, the S and the Z, same thing. You see that?
Yeah.
I don't see a Z in that particular picture right there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's actually the letter S. The Z and the S is interchangeable. You gotta
Okay.
use your sound shifting rules, brother. See here?
Yes, sir.
Based upon the
Alright.
chart. Now watch
I got
this.
you.
Go back over here. You see the letter S in this chart,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
The N look just like it. They put them beside each other, similarities, right? Watch this.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Hold up. Let me go here. Okay. This other chart down here. Oh, I thought I had hit the other chart. Okay, there we go. So again, as we go through these particular charts, and they got different letters or whatever, let me blow that up. And this right here actually confirmed what I was just saying. See that right there?
Mhm.
Z or S. You see what I'm saying?
Islam. Yes.
Z or S. And that's why it's good to have all these charts, because we can identify that. But yeah, it did kind of look, at first sight, it was like the N-ish, but you got to be able to see it. Okay, let me see here. But we can see the difference there. It's good that we was able to see that. We see the little hoop coming off the end. That's a consistent look with the letter N. Being mindful of that. Let me see here. It's one more chart I thought I had on here. To the right.
And Brother Shaheed, you say you
So-
gonna send us these.
It is
these.
right. Yeah, I'm gonna send this whole PDF to the more.
Oh, okay, great, because I know I don't have all of them. These are good though, what you got
Mhm.
to help us compare
So-
to.
Oh, yeah.
So but so yeah, so
Go
if you
ahead.
go back to that original letter within that the whole piece where it was like with not there.
Well, here are in the actual here.
Yeah, right. That's actually called the script.
You say it's actually called a script.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the script, the Hieratic
But
script.
that's why I want to confirm, my brother. That's all, because
Oh no, brother,
all
you
this
all
is
right?
new to me, and I probably haven't been
Yeah,
doing as much
you all
study as
right?
I need to.
Yeah,
But
you
I don't
all
know.
right, brother Marvin Elbay?
Yes, sir. I don't want to hold up the class. Okay, so the original letter that you was referring to at that time was which letter now?
You say the original letter that I was
Yeah.
referring to, it was right here.
Oh, right. Okay, right.
I
Okay,
see
now that
why
makes
they
more sense.
said N though, because they seen the hoop coming off the end.
Right. It makes more sense.
But it's these two slight measures in the middle that let you know it wasn't N.
Right.
It almost looked like N,
Right.
but it
I
ain't
agree.
N. You see, and
I
it's up here too, the same alphabet right there, same thing there. You
It's-
can go throughout the whole text and just see it all
Right.
over the place. Islam.
Right. Yes, Islam.
That's
Gratitude.
an actual N right there.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
You see? I mean, you can, and they jump out at you too. That's an actual N right there. Look like it.
Mhm.
So they go one right there. So it basically, the key is, like I said, using this working knowledge right now, that's a clear S or Z if you want to use it as that right there. That's clear. That's very apparent. And this actually sheds light on this one, which was kind of underdeveloped in the way they wrote it. We can see they ain't really consistent in the way they write all of them. They're all slightly different. That's the letter. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, praise be to Allah. And this is how, like I said, we become familiarized by this. This is a simple process, even though it may seem complex. Reason why I say it's simple, because all you got to do once I get this chart to you, you can go and do the same exact thing. And it's just a chart to be able to vet whatever you already have. So you got the Abjad order. We already got that. And so now it's just going through checking these things. Because when we go into these texts, we want to make sure we pulling over the right alphabet. You know what I mean? Okay. Islam, I think Amor want to say something. Okay. I think more may have their mic open and don't know it. So, all right. Let us come here. We want to deal with another alphabet. What about this one here, family? Let me blow it up. Yeah. What about this one here? Look like the double T. What alphabet is that?
Islam, you know, going on that chart that I was going by, the only thing that could come close to is that I.
You say this is the I?
From that hieratic chart that you had first, that we
I
first
think you
decided.
might be confusing it with this
Oh, well, yeah. That's, you know, like that's like two of them together. But then, yeah, I got it all mixed up though, because that's the
one.
only
Yeah,
thing I
you
could see.
see how that's a straight line right there, right?
Right.
That's a curve up line.
Okay.
Let us go over here and see. We're gonna pull this demonstration out to the manifest. All right. And this is where our chart is. And you say it's the letter I, right? Brother Marvin Edwards Bay?
It's oh God, man, yeah, I was going by the chart,
Yeah, no,
my
nothing wrong.
original chart.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. You
Okay,
know,
but here, using this chart, I don't see anything that could come close to it.
All right. We're gonna go through here and we're gonna pull this demonstration out to the manifest. Go ahead, Sister Dendra. I think Dendra O.
Is it a Y? Because the chart I'm looking at, but that still don't look like the chart I'm looking at, the heretic one, it's got a Y, but that looked like a little F. That looked more like a T, what you showing, and I don't see nothing.
It looked like a T, don't it?
Yeah. So, okay, I'm gonna wait to see what somebody else gonna say.
Yep, let's go through here. We're gonna go up through here now. All right, any other more would like to deal with that particular alphabet? All right, no more?
Islam?
Islam, Brother Miles Bay.
Islam, God, man. I'm looking at the chart and like I said, I'm kind of confused too, but I'm gonna have to say a W from just looking at it.
You say a W?
Yes, sir, just guessing, because I really don't see anything that actually looked like what you showed us.
And I would say to that, you know, to be honest with you, grand man, that would most definitely be a thought. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because if you look at it, we know we can turn it, you know, just like we did with the other letters.
Oh yeah, okay.
You know, some of them are turned to a certain degree. But I would go between this letter and this letter here, you know, between them, because this one shows beside each other, and we know the person who writes, they are not writing consistently, you know, so to speak, in their style of writing, you see? And if we were to look at one that was closest to it having a double connection, I would go here, right? But keep this one in mind. And when you begin to transliterate the other letters, you will see whether it makes sense or not. You got me? Based upon—
I can see that. I can see that. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
And
all like
then—
what I was saying. Taking the different legs off of it and extending it or shortening it, whatever.
Yeah,
You know,
well, you can tell by the structure of the sentence that you will be forming. For example, let's say you wanted to write the word book, right? And then you put the letter A there. It ain't gonna be book, it's gonna be B-A-O-K. You see, that's a whole nother different word, right?
Right.
And you'll know good and well that it's supposed to be another O there. you know, to make it book. So the key is when you get, you know, the Egyptian dictionaries that are available and you go into it and you begin to transliterate certain things, you'll be able to identify truly which letter it is by, you know, the dictionary and the transliteration that is already there as to what makes sense. You see, because the word may be very simple. You see?
Right.
So that's a whole nother measure. You know, but
Islam.
go ahead, Islam, brother.
Well, I went to another one and it looked like it may be either Coptic or Demotic, but it has that double T, and it says it's an S.
Where?
On
which
it's off
chart
of
you
one,
talking about?
it's off of one of the charts you had before. You gave us prior, but it's an older chart. And,
which chart? You can share your screen?
no, I don't have it. It's not on my computer. It's on my phone.
Okay, is it a chart? Is it the one with the Demotic on it?
Well, I'm about to show video.
Because some of these letters too,
See
remember
that?
they draw. Go ahead.
The S right there.
Hold up, let me see it. Let me stop sharing my screen because I can't see what you're doing right now. Go ahead.
There's that S in
See,
the corner.
that's Demotic. That's Demotic.
Yeah. So they might have took it from there and placed it.
That's a possible option as well, because some people take text not knowing. Like I said, remember I told you they confuse Coptic. I mean, they confuse Hieratic and Demotic in certain cases, but it's noteworthy to put there. You know what I mean? All of those things are measures. I'm gonna show you one too that is good to be pointed out in the light of all of this here. Let me see here. Let me share the screen again. Okay, there we go. Well, I'm trying to share the full screen actually. Okay, there we go. I can see even in this particular area here. Hold up. Close it up.
Yeah, Demotic. That's
okay.
Demotic.
It wasn't there. I just had the thing. Okay. Yeah, see here. I can actually see here in this actual German chart, T. You see that there? So let's think of two T's.
That two that close together.
Yeah, let's think of two T's instead of one. That can also be a measure. Like I said, we would know when we begin to transliterate them. You draw?
Islam.
So
Like in that. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I can. You go ahead.
Yes, sir. But y'all see what I'm. Go ahead, brother.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. That's that heritage. That's the hieratics. So that's the hieratic right there.
That's right.
As well as this other one over to the left is also hieratic, right?
What, this here?
The second one from the left.
What, right here?
No, the second column from the left.
Talking about over here?
All the way, keep going. Well, actually, that's what I was talking about right in there.
Talking about in here? Yeah, this is the one.
You know, the
this
label.
Is the one we talked about earlier, though. The one right. we already spoke on this one. We spoke on this one.
Right. Now, what I'm saying is, up the labels up top where you see, that's hieratic, right?
Yeah, it's hieratic.
Okay, and over
but that's the German way of saying it. Hieratic.
Right, that's another. Okay, but I see the same thing over to the right. So these are like all of the alphabets, right? In other words, okay, I can see it now.
Well, what it is, this is a different chart from Germany. And I'm saying some of their particular interpretations of the letters are different from the ones that the European had. You see what I'm saying? That's why we're
Yes, sir.
taking from all of the charts the similarity, like we did with the demotic. You know what I mean? How we went and isolated all them symbols. Like I showed you up here in this particular chart right here. See up here
Right.
where I had, like I went and I put every symbol up there that said it was a, you see, with the demotic.
Right.
We doing the same thing basically with these meshes. Same thing. You see?
No, I understand that, God, man. Like what I was saying is, I didn't realize that, you know, like how you go from A to Z, so to speak. That's what's happening. The hieratic on the left is just the beginning of the alphabets all the way down. Then they continue it over to the left half of it and go down. That's what I was saying. I didn't think about that.
Okay. Islam.
So, you know, like that's
Gratitude.
Lotworth. Yeah, that's a different interpretation. Lotworth.
No, this is just the basic, this is what they call lot work, is the actual letters basically in their language.
Right.
You know, that's all that is. That's basically like saying the English, you know, transliteration, which these are English letters right here, so to speak, or Latin letters, if you want to call them that. You know, but that's basically all that is, grand man. It's telling you this would be what they call hieroglyphics, so-called. This is hieratic, this is demotic, and this is where you get your transliteration from. Islam?
Islam. I got gratitude.
Yes, sir. All right. So let me come over here and go to this particular chart and see what we can find. You know, this is one of the letters we spoke of. You know, I know you said the I here. You know, they got a bunch of them wrote different ways. We still don't see that exactly straight measure going across there, but it's still something to consider because it's the closest that we can find in our charts. You know, that's relative to what it is that we are looking for. Okay, and all this is take a little patience, family. You know, it takes a little patience for us to be able to come through here and demonstrate on this measure. Okay, let me see here. So yeah, here we have here. That's the Y, the letter Y there, and we know the Y is interchangeable with the I, but we can even see some similarity there as well.
Right. Right.
Okay. I want to
So
go
that
back.
Y actually in that particular chart would become the closest.
Yeah, that's what we seeing thus far.
Yes, sir.
But we
Because
just
it has that straight line that goes through. Like if you can bring up that Y like you had before.
uh-huh.
Okay, now yeah, make it bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you see that one, the third one from the left, I mean from the right.
Yeah, I see
It's
it.
got the two lines, got the straight line, and then you got the two lines down, but that's demotic.
Yeah, that's demotic. Well, actually, you know, to be honest with you, this right here look like it come before the demotic. But you can see the
Okay.
diagonal line they have it instead of the straight line. And that could
Right.
be the style of the writing though. You know what I mean? Somebody choose to try to write it diagonally and somebody just wrote it straight across.
Straight across, right.
In that particular drawings. Like I said, that's why I say we ain't gonna rule it out.
Right.
You know, but we know it definitely is a part of it. But I chose it, you know, because I know it was gonna make us think a little bit. You know what I
Most
mean?
definitely.
And that's what we want to do. It's just that simple. First and foremost, going through the text, identifying, you know, these different letters. You know, that's a science in and of itself. You can see a slight little slant to it right there. You know, and so then the thing is, you know, look for this alphabet again. You know, what is similar to this, and you may see it wrote in a different style. You know, so I mean, we can go many different ways in demonstrating this, Moors. For example, we're gonna do one more over here.
Before you go to that, sir,
Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I just can recall in Mustafa Gadala's the ancient Egyptian. Hold on, I got the book right here. Yeah, in ancient Egyptian universal writing modes,
Yes, sir.
he speaks about how there's, there were papyrus. They actually had different, styles of writing on the same particular papyrus.
Yeah, most definitely.
I mean, I'm thinking that's what we're seeing now.
Yeah, same thing,
Yes, sir.
same exact thing. That's exactly what he was referring to. And that's why we went over it in our last class. We were pointing out, some of those same things he was saying. We actually going through these things right now. But yeah, just looking at everything here and vetting it through the letters, we can see most definitely some relation here. But like I said, when you go back to the other letters that we went over as well, we will put them there with question marks. We don't want to rule them out, so to speak. And then everything will basically manifest itself when one begin to transliterate. That's where you're gonna really get, your drawing from. You go to write something, man, that don't make no sense. And then you already know, okay, well, that should be this instead of that. What about this particular letter? I just seen it a second ago. Give me 1 second. I don't want to get nothing too easy that we already know right now. Okay. Not that letter, not that letter. Not that one. Okay, what about this little letter here, this little circle with the slash going in? Because we see that consistently throughout.
Oh,
this.
that's like the Z, XZ, KH. I mean, from my chart.
Okay, this circle with the slash in it, KH.
That's the thing I can see. That's
okay. Let us vet it. Let us see, because we basically fact checking off all these charts, and the agreement based upon this is special measure. And I see they have it up here where it's half written as the letter H. You see it here, the different style.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Kind of broken, but it's still the same thing. I'm pretty much. Yep, there you go. Let's see. Yep, right here. That's CH. That's right. Same. You see it?
Yes, sir.
That's it right there. Same thing here. They actually put the remember I told you sound shifting rule. The X.
Right.
Lock. How's lock spelled at the end?
CH.
Lock. CH.
Right.
Lock. Right?
Yes, sir.
So they are using this X. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's the sound shift there. Here it is here as well. They have it as KH here. See, this is the way they changed the word Kim and Cam.
And this is a chart I'm looking at too, because that's
this is the main one here. This is the main abject.
Right.
Yeah, we're just looking at the different styles of the writing. And so that's what it's gonna really boil down to. Us looking at, here it is again here. Somebody wrote it, in the same way. They broke it up a little bit, but then we see it as a whole straight line in most of these charts. You see what I'm saying?
Now that marker actually kind of.
Which one?
Yeah, that marker on the left of that page that goes to the other. Yeah, just like there. See that hieroglyph sign? I mean, that's just a marker, but it kind of like shows up every time that particular hieratic.
Yeah, it's gonna show up because remember, these charts were already created years ago. You see what I'm saying? So every time they made these charts, they putting pictures on the side of it
Right.
because that's the way they created it. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
This is the way they systematically created their particular way of expressing the language, but that don't take from the fact that this is hieratic over here.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That's what we focus on. We gonna get to all this right here, you know, but we dealing with this right now. You
Yes,
know what I
sir.
mean? So
sir.
like right here, this is the same letter, but it didn't kind of go all the way deep with it this time. But you see,
Mhm.
you know, you can see the consistency of that special measure, but we see the letter X here.
Mhm.
So you know, we
Yeah, in Coptic, that's they say it's that XI. I can't pronounce it. XI, but that's somewhere else. Coptic.
Islam. Yes, sir. So yeah, and they have a lot of the sound shift in this particular chart right here. You know, like remember I was going back and forth with one brother on the letter L and the letter R.
Hmm.
He said I created it.
Oh, wow.
I made it up.
Hey.
I was
Yeah, well, them
"Man,
brothers,
this
like
stuff been
they,
written like hundreds of years before I was born. I made this up." Whoa. I mean, now if you want to go in the ancient aspect of it, yeah, we the one that created it. But he was
right.
literally saying I made it up, you know, in the negative. You know,
Well,
so
as far as his mind is concerned, he didn't know nothing about it.
yeah. So
We all.
yeah, this is a drawing, and we definitely want our family to basically go through the chart. You know, all the alphabets. Now you can do it. We just did it as the Moors was just picking out letters. We picked out different letters and let the Moors see it. And oh yeah, let me answer this question right here too, Brother Marvin Edwards Bay. See this symbol right here? It's not an E. This is actually the letter A.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. I just wanted to make sure.
See, that's the Ein. I remember I was gonna say that to you earlier, but Ein is that letter. You see?
Yes,
and
sir.
so you remember I was talking about the sound shift between the O. There it go again. Remember I was talking about the U and the O and the W.
Yes, sir.
See, I know this stuff, you know, off of the head, but it's cause I done went through it and seen so much of it to where it's impressed there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
that's that more science popping up.
I think I might have photographic memory and don't even know it.
Yeah, I'm sure we do.
I mean?
We all probably do it. Eventually, you're just more advanced.
Islam.
You know what I mean? You done developed it more. I put it like that.
And don't even know it.
Right?
Islam. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we would do though. We would go here, you know, and this is our real guide chart here, because this is already abjad order. We already established it. But you know, if you want to go through in the homework modes, you already have your abjad. So you know, you just go letter by letter. You know, maybe point out some things. It can be in this chart. Hold up, let me pull it up. It can be in this chart here, you know, or it can be another chart, you know. If you want to, I think that's more clear right now, this particular chart here. But you know, you just go through there and identify, like we showed before. Like prime example, this is one of the measures, like I say always, I feel that we can remember something. Like if we know, for example, you know, that let's just say this is the letter, you know, just let's say this is the letter M or whatever the case may be, right? And we just go through the whole measure, you know, looking through this document to find this letter. Go from the A, the abjad, all the way down to T, you know, and look for every one of them you can find, you know, or even other charts that you can find, you know, and that's what's again going to impress these things upon the consciousness. You see?
Islam, yes, sir. That
So-
actually, to me, that's like an M on top of an N.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes, sir.
Men, you're right. That makes sense. Men, that's a S,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
then
But that the one that's
mhm,
up under it, I can't make it out yet.
yeah.
I
Oh
You know
man,
that
that look like that might be Menefer.
wow.
Look, M-N, right?
Yep.
And then we got
Hmm.
this as the F. Look like Menefer. I mean,
Hmm.
that's what I'm seeing now. You know,
You know, I'm looking at that what looks like a say a Y, but that could be a T or T.
well, here,
Yeah. Why am I looking at it wrong?
that's the letter F.
F.
Yeah, see?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I see it now.
You see it? That's why
Yes,
I
sir.
said it looked like Menefer.
Nerf. Okay.
You know, that's what I'm seeing come out of that now that you point the N out. Menefer.
Yes, sir.
You see? That's
Okay.
just, you know, identified it from that aspect.
Right, right.
But what it is, I sent this out to the Moors too. Let me point this out here. For example, these are the different charts. And I got a lot of these Moors, just like I had a lot of the other ones. So we're gonna get these out to the Moors.
Oh,
You know
Nefer.
what I mean? We can
Mhm.
actually see Nefer here itself.
Right,
You
right.
see
See
that
that?
same little Y there, and the
Mhm.
way that they spelled it here, we got the N and all that there. So Nefer. We can see a letter P
Pa,
here.
pa.
Pa,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Right?
Smith. Smith.
Smet, yeah,
Smith.
Smet.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically this is what I was saying when we begin to transliterate, because we see the
Yeah.
letter M right here. This
Mhm.
glyph was missing. That's why they got them
Oh,
stripes.
they got a
through it.
question mark there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's why they had that there.
Hmm.
And so you have S and T. You know, we come down here, we see him, you know, which deal with praise in ancient Kemet. You know, so when you get into transliterating a lot of this stuff, a lot of these same words,
That too.
you'll be able to go back to the Demotic and find definitions for some of these words. By
Right.
comparing in the original chart that I showed you up here, right here,
Right.
you know, comparing these letters, you know, just saying right now we have no real full definition of these words like we had in the Demotic measure. So when you compare these letters, you know, to the Demotic, you know, then you can get the actual definition of the word and what the word is made up to be.
Demotic.
See what I'm saying? Yeah, kind of leaning on the chart of the Demotic that we have. You know how I got the full breakdown on it?
Oh, okay, okay. That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna show you exactly what I'm getting at here, because I actually have it in the where is that? Okay. Well, actually, I can go further down in this chart here, and it has it here, the example of what I'm talking about. See how when you get in the bottom here,
right, right.
it's
I
giving
had
you the
went back over
breakdown.
those.
Say that again.
Yeah, I had actually started back over looking at
Yeah.
these charts and notes.
Yes, sir. Nothing wrong with that. And so you see how you had a transliteration here,
right?
And it says YB, and then it gives you the definition. Like it says netter here, right?
Right, God.
Then it shows you netter in Demotic. Then you have God. I'm saying that you can go and compare these letters here,
right,
to the hieratic letters.
Okay.
And then you will see how you write God in hieratic.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Same thing with, you know, here, eat, Father. So you go and look at the equivalent, because they got them right beside each other. See how they got them letter for letter?
Right.
So this letter is this here, and the letter is this here. It's this here, and then it's this here. So there's really no big change in the transliteration, as you can already see. Hold up, let me pull it up. There's really no big transliteration between these letters. The difference. You see what I'm saying? Only difference is you got the definition of the actual words. See what I'm saying? Neb. We know the word Neb means Lord. Ruler. At least where I know it, you know, Matuf. You see? We
sir.
familiar with some of these. See,
Heru,
Her,
Heru.
Her, you know, Her
Hmm.
actually, because they got the little dot on the bottom of it. But then,
So that's a K?
yeah, you can pronounce
Her.
it that way, like a
Yes,
song.
sir.
Jetu, Jetu,
Jehu.
Jetu. That sounds like almost like you saying Tehuti a little bit.
Right, that's what I was thinking, some kind of way.
Yeah. You got Rete.
Retire.
Yeah, Rete. You see?
Yes,
Then
sir.
they got the whole breakdown
Woo.
of each one of them. You know, that's basically all them particular measures. They put them together in a sentence.
Okay.
That's
Oh,
good that they
so
do it
that's
that
like that whole chart, right? In the
Yeah.
beginning? Okay.
Yeah. So that's
Right there.
that,
Yeah.
that's it right there. And so
Wow.
that's what they're doing. They break these transliterations down word by word,
Mm-hmm.
you know, letter by letter. We already know that's the letter A. You know, we already established this is the letter Y, right? We know this is the letter F. So that's how they came up with that transliteration right there.
Right, right.
See what I'm saying?
Yes,
Don't
sir.
even worry about this here. These
Right.
just markers. Now, if one is using the markers to be able to identify something that may not be able to be seen good,
Okay.
nothing
Right.
wrong with that. But
see.
don't look at it in the aspect like you translating symbols. You
Right.
dealing with hieratic. That's why I say
Right.
these are more markers than anything.
Well,
You
because
got-
Hieratic had the spirit in it.
That's right. Hieratic
sir.
is the actual measure. You know, and it's common sense that the hieratic came before all that other stuff. Like
Right.
here's a prime example right here where they actually did, and that's why I said hold on to this letter right here because it may be there. So we see that in the hieratic they had that
Okay.
letter that the sister Hatshepsut was asking for, so we can reserve that along with the hieratic. You see that, sister Hatshepsut?
She may not
Okay.
be on it now.
Yeah,
Matter
she
of
may
fact.
be stepped away, but you see what we talking about. You know, so we can
Oh, there she
see.
is. There she
I'm
is.
here.
Okay, yeah.
God,
Remember we were talking about this letter here, sis?
Yes.
Yeah, we see that it is in the hieratic here, so it's
Okay.
all as well.
that would have
All
been
is-
the H, right? No.
Huh?
What letter was that?
You talking
Was
about
it
this
the H?
letter here? Yeah, it was H.
We
H.
said it was the
Right.
H.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this would be like the T, H, and then the M here. You see?
Okay. Okay. No, I was looking at
Now the
the
European
top
will tell
word.
you this is a determinative, so they trying to say this is a determinative too. We'll hold that thought till we get to it. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Yes,
this
sir.
here. See the letter M here?
M.
Then you got the other T again. See, they got T here, same thing, T.
Right.
And then you
Right.
got that Y coming off of there. See it?
Right.
Tooth.
YW. Tooth.
My tooth.
One, two.
You see how easy it is by becoming familiar with this stuff, you know, looking at it, how quick we end up picking up on it.
Yes, sir. I mean,
Right
we're gonna
here,
be the
like-
consensus anyway.
It's
Right here.
Yes, sir. And so
Right.
here you go right here, the letter R, which they try to deal with that. We ain't worried about it. That's the letter R. You know. So this is what's
Ray.
this is looking
That
at
could be
these
Ray.
things. Yeah, that can be Ray.
Because
That's
you know you
correct.
can just put an E in there or an A. Ray.
That's right, because they come without the vowels. That's
Right.
correct. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's basically what it is, Morris Ken, going through here. And this is what's gonna familiarize us with actually, you know, getting further into this measure. And like I say, each one of these particular portions of the script, you know, they break it down piece by piece. And then they get a full transliteration at the end of breaking it down.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
It's just putting the time in. You know what I mean? The effort, really.
Yeah, it's putting the time in. Like I say, nobody has attempted to do what we doing right now.
Wow.
But us, you know, as far as dealing with the actual hieratic language.
Well, it actually makes sense. I mean, like as we unfold, our God unfolds, right?
That's right.
Yes,
That's
sir.
Mehet. That look like Mehet, the lion. I know it's
Oh.
one lion. The lion is known as Mehet. You know what I mean? Actually, it's Mechet. Mechet. Because I see the arrow going down on there too.
Yeah, okay.
So
Yeah,
go ahead, brother.
yeah. Actually, yeah, like all those W's with the different symbols on it. Yeah, that's something I need to really grasp, get up under my belt, so to speak, because we see them all the time, but we can't just take them as an H, because it could be a K. Or they
That's
could
right.
just have a
Well,
different take on it.
yeah, and it has the rules in
Yeah.
a lot of this stuff on how we pronounce it.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Gotta go
praise
back.
be to Allah. Now I'm gonna show you something that I'm seeing here. You know, we was talking a few minutes ago now. Brother Myers Bay mentioned that symbol that we seen looking like
Uh-huh.
the WP, and he said it was a W.
Right.
Now we can
Right.
see some credence to that right here. You see that, Brother Myers Bay?
Islam, I'm with you, great man.
Yes, sir. We can see some credence to that right there. See, that's why it's necessary for us to do exactly what we're doing and go through this script. Because just looking at the script allow us to be able to make sense out of what we're looking at.
Right.
That's the word him, which means again the praise in most cases. Okay, him it. Yeah, so yeah, Moors. You already had this too, by the way, Moors.
Right.
Yeah, you already had this, by the way. I had sent it out to the Moors already before. So yeah, at this time, Moors, we just want to give honors. Go ahead, brother.
Hey, what's going on? We at church?
Uh-oh, Brother Marvin, that would be your phone over. Okay, so what we want to do more is at this time, you know, we just want to say gratitude to the Moors that have come forth. And like I say, this stuff is more than meet the eye, you know, and it definitely ain't, once we become familiar with it, you know, it's not as hard as it seems to be. The only difference is us just getting, you know, all the different measures. Here's nature here too, by the way. That's nature. So yeah, we just gotta really practice make perfect. Practice make perfect. This is very similar to dealing with the demotic. You can use the demotic as a support for us dealing with the actual certain areas of transliterating things into an actual definition. We can go by that, but the main thing we want to do is become familiar with these measures that we're dealing with here. You know, and the more we go over it, the more we know, the more we grow, and the more we grow, the more we know. So that being said, Moors, you know, we're gonna stop right here and actually open up the floor first and foremost to our officials. You know, this has been a grand class, Moors. I love to open it up and us go through it together, you know, because it's a collective energy there. So praise be to Allah. So at this time, I don't think I see our Grand National Chairman on the manifest. Okay, but we do see our Grand National Secretary of the State on the manifest. Islamism, Goddess and Queen.
Islam. Yeah, our chairman is not available right now. Islam Moorish Ken, having already risen and given praise and honor where due. Much gratitude to Act One and much gratitude to you, Dr. Shaheed, and also, of course, our Georgia consulate for providing the forum, and to all of our Moorish kin. This has been such a beautiful class, as always, but when we go through these things as a collective, for me, I become more comfortable with it. You know, it definitely brought more insight, Dr. Shaheed, when you brought out the the sound chip demonstration with some of these charts. That was definitely a help. And for me, when you were pointing out how let's say, for instance, the letter G had different variations, and to me that one G looked like a musical note. Okay, and it was you pointing out that G that looked like the musical note, I wasn't looking at it from the sound chip part, but that's how the K looked like that musical note as well. And so it was like, just like how we use dealing with the five senses, where the eyes might not pick up something, but the ears do. So it's like a combination of looking at the various shapes of hieratic, sometimes going back to demonic, but also that sound demonstration that you brought forth was very key for me as well, because now I'm looking at it with an even more discerning eye to seeing the combination of letters. Even though when we were first going over demonic and it said I equals Y and things, this is making it repetition is key, as our prophet brought forth. And now it's like a heightened awareness of these special demonstrations, and just makes it for me even more anxious to go in there and do some more research. I know we were speaking about the different charts, and that was another thing when you brought out the chart coming from Germany, you know, and what their perspective was and how their letters were different, but we could see some similarities. So that is not only expanding our special language, but also familiarizes us with the rest of the nations of the earth, you know, because I'm quite sure, you know, well, we know the different, all languages come from us, but it just gave a heightened elevation to being able to go across the spectrum and compare these demonstrations and be able to discern what exactly is hieroglyphic, or however they want to term it. And it also showed, I know further on down the road, we're going to have to become, as you stated, familiarized with the markers as well, you know, to be able to discern some of these letters. And when you went over that last part coming out of lesson 1 with that like netter, for instance, and it was easier for my eye to be able to see the individual letters. When I first went through the demonic aspect and trying to read the script and make out the letters, it's like I couldn't see anything. It was all a mass. I could not really make it out too clearly. But today, it was much more clear, especially when you said, see the N, you know, and highlighted it. See the M, you know, that actually brought it home for me, where I'm looking forward to going back on the papyri and being able to discern every letter, which will sharpen the eye. So this has just been a blessed class. Much gratitude to you, Dr. Shaheed, for, you know, taking our questions and maintaining that patience and that love divine. Is definitely much appreciated. So gratitude and peace and love, and also to all of my Moorish kin that aided and assisted with the questions, because that helps bring it home for me. So gratitude, peace and love.
Islam and gratitude, Grand National Secretary of the State. Peace and love indeed. Very powerful measure. And yeah, the same knowledge that we use, as we stated earlier, that we applied today can be used, you know, the same way to vet the demonic text as well. And this is basically, like you said, it's a training of the eye, basically, to be able to, because we know that we don't really deal with these things on a normal basis. So we have to get to know them and become familiar with them. And we give honors to you, Grand National Secretary of the State, for that grand draw, and praise be to Allah, you know, for that measure, Islamism without the schism. So, yeah, ooh-wee. Well, all right. Let us call forth at this time our Assistant Chairman, Moorish America, Dr. Torre Anu Rasul Simpson Bay. Islam, brother.
Islamism without the schism. Islam, grand class. Now, Sister Grand Sheikh, Dr. Shadow Mental Mahatma Shepswell, Dr. Toria Nu, Rasul Simpson Bay, National Sister Grand Chair of Moorish America. Give a rise of praise to everything that is Moorish, Grand National Flag, emblem and seal, divine constitution, Moorish America, Islam. Man, I tell you, another grand class. And, you know, as you was teaching the class and just opening up the way, I was like, it's just another grand divine step, as Moorish Americans exercising our divinity and exercising, the power of will, and the power of coming together in our sacred grove, executive rulers, and, just feeding on fundamental, because, as you just stated, learning new information is growing as the individual Moorish Americans as well as the nation, the people, because that's our mission, is to continue the upliftment of fallen humanity. So every class, every state of the nation, it's an honor and a blessing, because now, as our Grand National Secretary of State was speaking about, just learning today, going through, like I said, I'm traversing back to the Ghana Law territory from, matter of fact, we give honor. Matter of fact, let me give honors also to the North Carolina, South Carolina consulates. On yesterday, it was a grand occasion at the up in North Carolina, visiting the Moors. Our family up there, it was just nothing but love, minds that has been exposed to what it is. On yesterday occasion of and more so coming back to the class, just the comparison and also the sound shifting, a lot of times like the new one today, the German Hieratic script,
Did the brother fall off?
Probably because you can barely make out every third word.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it looks like it.
Okay, it's long. Well, we'll give him a chance to come back in there real quick. Yeah, these are some grand classes, Muslim. We almost there. And we definitely will be going into, the special measures that will most definitely be giving our Moorish kin some grand insight, very soon, sooner than later. So we most definitely encourage our Moorish kin to definitely stay on the manifest, because we got to deal with, again, we'll go into the metaphysics of everything, and it's gonna be some grand drawings. There you go. Islam. All right, you there, grand man?
like I said, I'm cutting out. Yeah, I was cutting out, like going up and down these old mountains. But however, what was the last thing you all heard, Mighty Morris?
I couldn't really hear any too much because it really was choppy here and there. A little bit I could catch, but not a whole lot.
Last part dealing with the honor to North Carolina, South Carolina consulate and visiting there.
Right. Everything else.
Okay,
like,
Islam, gratitude. Well, like you said, it was, yeah, okay. Sound pretty good now?
Go ahead.
Islam, can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, once again, it was an occasion to visit Mighty Morris.
Yeah, you chopping again, Mo. Oh, he done fell again. Oh man. Yeah. Really want to hear what our brother got to bring forth.
Yeah. Okay. So I just stopped. So yeah. So once again, a grand occasion yesterday in North Carolina. It was such a warm, warm invitation, a warm welcoming. You know, the further I got into the rural, the more I felt at home where I'm from. However, you know, I got there, much love from the people. A lot of the young God men and God women are actually aware of the Moorish nationality. They're aware of the government, and they also have much respect for Dr. Jehudi Bey and Dr. Zakat Bey. It was a grand. I had a chance to meet Dr. Asset and Dr. Muhammad Bey, Dr. Larry Daniels Bey, and a host of other Moors, especially Jehudi's tribe. So it was a grand occasion on yesterday evening. Good food, you know, good vibration, grand vibration. So it was an honor and blessing to be there. And once again, peace and love to all the mighty Moors. And like I said, moving back to the class, you know, to go through, as I was traversing, I was able to listen in attentively to the interaction with, you know, the executive rulers in today's class. And, you know, once again, yeah, it's very good to go through it together to get that understanding. And also, I was just thinking about, you know, another grand class, another grand progression to the uplifting of fallen humanity, and we're being active and not passive. So once again, Dr. Shi, gratitude to you for all that you have done and brought forth when these various measures, and honors to the mighty Moors that's in this particular sacred grove on this afternoon, you know, gaining knowledge and wisdom to help, you know, once again raise us up from those marks, you know, those marks. So that was a grand reading, also coming from our Book of Fire, written by our Grand Master Chairman, inspired through the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali and our Father God Allah. So grand class, mighty Moors, peace and love. And Dr. Ann Carter Bay, if you don't mind, because I'm going up and down these hills, if you don't mind, can you close out today's Egyptian Adeptus Research class for me, Islam? Dr. Dan Carter Bay, Dr. Deidre Nia Kirk Bay, are you on the manifest?
Islam. Depending on what time we get out, I may not be here myself. If we get out by 2, I can close out. But if not, because I got to run also. Islam.
Islam, I understand. Islam, gratitude, peace and love.
Islam, yeah, we getting ready to close it out now, Grand Man. And we'll hear from our Moorish kin briefly, and we'll definitely have it closed out in a few minutes. Islam. So gratitude to the Moors, Islamism, praise be to Allah. All right, I think that's it for our officials. So what we'll do now is just call on our Moorish kin who may want to come forth and give their portion. If there's anything Moors would like to add on. Islam?
Islam.
Islam.
Islam, Dr. Dendra Nia Kirk Bay. I just want to say, first, let me rise and give praises to the great God Allah. I give honors to his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I give honors to Act One. I give honors to you, all my government officials. I give honors to you, National Sister Grand Sheik, for all your patience and all that you do. And I'm excited about getting the handout that we went over today. And that really helped me when you went into the script, and then you point out different alphabets and have us to try to figure out what they are. I like that. That really helps me a lot. And the different charts that you went over today, by you sending them out, that gives me more things to look at, to compare and everything as I put my abjab together. So gratitude, God man, for all that you do. I had fun. I learned a lot today. Islam, gratitude.
And gratitude, Sister Curta Bay. We give honors to you, Goddess and Queen, for that drawing. Praise be to Allah. Islam. All right. Is there any other Moor who would like to come forth and give their portion?
Islam, God, man.
Islam, Brother Evans Bay.
Oh, gratitude for calling me. Yes, I just want to quickly say, praising honor have been given Dr. Evans Bay. Yeah, this has been a grand class. I mean, I learned a lot, and it just clearly points me into a correct direction, and just gave me more encouragement. You know what I mean, to continue forward in elevating. Well, gratitude, God, man, for all you do. Islam and peace.
Yes, sir. Islam and peace. Gratitude, brother, for that draw. All right. Islam. Any other Moors who would like to come forth and give their portion on what we brought forth? All right, going once. Going twice. And indeed, you're thrice blessed, Moorish king. Praise be to Allah. Islamism without the schism. So our homework, you know, for this special coming weekend would be dealing with us doing just what we did and using the knowledge, you know, to basically become more familiarized, you know, with these particular papyri that we see, identifying the alphabets and showing how well, you know, that we have been able to identify these things. And the more we have this special knowledge, it becomes a working knowledge that we can use to transliterate and translate certain measures. So there's a methodology that will be brought forth in order to do that work. And mashallah, we'll be trying to get on some of that to go through our next session, to give our people a grand drawing. So don't forget, you know, to familiarize yourself with the different charts. And I'm gonna send the PDF out to the Moors. And also do your comparison in that first lesson 1 PDF that was sent out with the Demotic and the Hieratic in there, so that you can begin to become familiar with how to transliterate and then get your meanings and your definitions on the manifest. You know, so all of that is key. Praise be to Allah, Islamism. So at this time, we can call forth our sister Curta Bay, and she can close us out. We love you.
Islam, Islam, Islam. January 15, 1929, a warning from the prophet to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any citizen, or group of citizens who hold malicious feelings toward the government or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turbans and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Jew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the government is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by the order of Prophet Noble Jew Ali. A holy covenant of the Asiatic nation. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother have given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. so shall the fortune of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Islam, Islam, Islam. This meeting is officially adjourned according to Act 2. Go in peace, Moors. Islam. Wonderful class, wonderful class.
Yes.
Islam.
Gratitude, Dr. Queen. Gratitude.
Great
Great
class,
class.
gratitude,
Great
Dr.
class.
Shaheed.
Great
Peace
class.
and love,
Yes.
more.
Islam.
Islam, Morris.
Love, Morris.
It's
All
love.
right now, Morris, we love you.
Love you all.
Love you too, Grand National
Islam.
Grand
Peace
Sheik.
and love. See you in the
Peace
Sunday
and love,
school.
mighty
class.
Moors.
See.
In school it is.
Islamism.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.